Shit, I forgot I wasn't muted. Shit. Okay. Well. Hello, everyone. I've come back from my head examination. I mean, psychologist appointment. And they've decided that I'm going to be sanctioned. Okay, no. But, like, no. Everything is fine. So, hi, person. How are you doing? It's been so long. I haven't seen you in days. Oh my god. But yeah, I've decided to do the food thing because it's, should be fine. Um, there are a number of different videos I've decided to put up. I mean, there's like the most iconic restaurant in every state. Popular fast food restaurants in every state. There are different things. Of course, for California, it's probably going to be, oh God, it's going to be like, just the same goddamn place. And then, just like, well, okay, well, first I'll play Insider's favorite dish from every state because that's a bit more interesting. And how many years ago was that? 3 years ago. Though some of these places may not exist anymore. Let us see.
From Nashville hot chicken to New York's legend.
Okay.
From Nashville hot chicken to New York's legendary cronut. Here are our favorite dishes.
Do you know what a cronut is, person? It's a croissant donut. It is a donut which has multiple flaky layers inside, like a croissant. I'm surprised you haven't heard of it. Yeah. They'll probably go into a little bit more detail. If they don't, I'll try to elaborate.
Dishes from every state. If you're in Alabama, it's worth trying these decadent orange rolls. They're the biggest draw to the restaurant All Steak in Coleman. Each roll is topped with a deliciously sweet orange glaze. Despite the fish you'll find in Alaska, we recommend trying the state's iconic reindeer hot dog instead. The sausage is made with reindeer or caribou, pork, and beef, and it's not something you'll find many other places.
And in Christmas, they'll give you a little red, little maraschino cherry and say it's Rudolph's nose. And watch as the children scream. Of course, they don't do that. I was lying. They don't do that. If I was there and say, "Here's your reindeer sausage," and like, "What's that cherry doing there?" "It's Rudolph's nose, honey." "Oh God, no!" All right, well, whatever.
Sopapillas are the perfect savory or sweet treat. The hollow pockets of dough are a cross between Latin American fried pastry and Navajo fried bread. When served sweet, sopapillas can be filled with honey or topped with powdered sugar. We'd be remiss not to tell you to try the cheese dip in Arkansas. It's similar to queso, but don't tell Texas we told you that.
Velveeta,
The two states have long debated which created the favorite dip and what it should be called. With so many great places in California, it's hard to pick just one. But we love Fugetsudo in LA. It makes delicious rainbow dango, which are these bite-sized pieces of tender, colorful mochi. What might surprise you is our pick from Colorado. At this
Some of these choices are generic, and some of them are things I have never heard of before.
gas station, we recommend getting blue corn tortillas with cactus and sauteed onions, or the traditional huarache, a Mexican-style flatbread. If you're near...
I bet the blue corn tortillas freaked you out a little bit. But yeah, it's corn that's blue. America exports a lot of yellow corn, but in Mexico there are many, many different types of corn of different colors. Like there's red, there's traditional yellow. There or blue. I don't know a lot of corn because that type of corn isn't really available in the United States. But if you mill down the blue corn, it turns into tortillas that are that color.
Neil's Donuts, the star of the show is the
Jesus.
giant cinnamon roll. But there's also over 40 donuts to choose from, if something small is more your thing. Thrasher's French Fries has been serving hungry beachgoers since 1929. The boardwalk stand originated in Ocean City, Maryland, but has since won over Delaware customers with its large buckets of fries doused in vinegar.
Is that right?
Old Greg's Pizza in Miami started as a quarantine pizza operation for the owner's friends and family. Today, it feeds hundreds of customers a week, many who order the popular Roni pie weeks in advance. Crispy, tender fried chicken is one of the most satisfying dishes we tried in Georgia. We visited several places, but our pick is JCT Kitchen and Bar. Our pick for Hawaii is an island staple. The Kahlua pork sandwich is satisfying.
Okay, these I'm gonna check what it says for these because you've seen the ice cream potato, you've seen the Portillo's cake, it's the cake shake, the Hamburg pie.
This next one's reminiscent of Illinois in that it also takes a slice of dessert and turns it into a milkshake. At Hamburg Inn number 2, they mix a slice of pie with soft serve.
Okay, for a second there, when I saw Hamburg pie, I was just like, oh no. Don't tell me they're going to put like hamburger in a pie and then put it in a milkshake. As I said, bacon, crispy bacon in a milkshake can be good. But that's because it adds stuff like a little bit of salt, it adds like, a crunch and other stuff, but putting something like, a meat pie inside of a milkshake, that's way too far. You've lost the plot, as they say. But no, this is just a regular pie, a non-gross pie. Yeah.
When in Kansas, Joe's Kansas City Barbecue won't disappoint. The Z-Man sandwich comes with thinly sliced brisket, smoked provolone, onion rings, and barbecue sauce. You also won't go wrong if you order a rack of ribs. They're smoky, tender, and delicious. In Louisville, Kentucky, there's the one-of-a-kind hot brown sandwich.
Oh my god, the hot brown. Is there anything else that exists in Kentucky?
Café Du Monde should be your first stop when visiting New Orleans. You can only get one thing, and that's the shop's iconic fried pastry called a beignet.
There's also Bananas Foster, which I've shown you there, but
Pillowy pockets of fried dough are dusted in powdered sugar and always served hot. In 2019, Maine fishers caught more than 100 million pounds of lobster, hence why it's become the star of a few popular dishes. From the lobster roll to boiled lobster and butter. We chose this next one not only because the pork ramen is delicious, but also because it encourages customers to achieve their dreams. The idea is that if you can finish these huge bowls of ramen at Yume wo Katare, you have the power to make your dreams come true. A hot dog in Detroit typically looks like this.
Where the hell in America is ramen the primary thing?
We chose this next one.
In Massachusetts, what the? Well, I guess it's true because there are some parts of the country where there is a high population of immigrants or people who came from people who came from different countries. So there are some large communities where you can get like really good food from that culture, even though most of the people are like white bread white people. So yeah, the Detroit hot dog, which that's also good.
A hot dog in Detroit typically looks like this. A steamed bun, an all-beef sausage with an all-meat beanless chili on top, and diced white onions. And of course, yellow mustard. It's called the Coney dog, and it's a century-old staple in the city. In Minnesota, instead of placing cheese on top of your burger, they put it...
You've covered that, Juicy Lucy. It is a hamburger stuffed with cheese and then cooked. And it was figured out that it was called the Juicy Lucy because people used to say, wow, that's one Juicy Lucy after biting into it. It was used to be given out for free in the past. because since the cheese was so hot and molten, people would burn their mouth, and the only thing they offered at the time was beer. So if you wanted to cool down your mouth from eating your molten hot cheeseburger, you needed to order beer.
Inside your patty.
Oh, and wait. This is sort of weird because it's not properly cut up. Okay, but that's catfish.
It's gooey, it's buttery. What's not to like about gooey butter cake? It's a St. Louis staple, and it's unlike other traditional cakes. It's a flat cake covered in a goo mixture.
Oh.
Huckleberries are grown in the...
What goes into the goo? They went to... You know, if they keep slightly revealing a little bit more information each time, then, you know, after 5 or 6 more videos, I might actually know what the hell this is. It's different than a normal cake because I spread my goo all over it. Ooh. Okay, so let's see. Is it gooey? Butter cake? Okay, that's gooey butter cake. Now let's see what it is so I can know. It's a type of cake traditionally made in St. Louis, Missouri. It is a flat and dense cake made with wheat cake flour, butter, sugar, and eggs, typically near an inch tall, and dusted with powdered sugar. I mean, it's probably good, but like a lot of American food, it's probably really, really rich. We've covered huckleberries. The runza we've also covered. If you don't remember it, it's because it's boring. I am sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, it probably tastes fine, but it's not like anything crazy. The pink box.
Stellar. You really can't go wrong with donuts, and Pink Box has over...
That's a pretty cute box. Don't you agree? Including the little blue poop over there. And that traumatized donut there that goes by like, ah! Ah!
50 to choose from. The Be Well donut is limited edition. It's a yellow donut with a mask because, you know, 2020. There's no place like New England in the fall, where apple picking is abundant.
Apple cider donuts, I've heard, aren't that special. Pork rolls from New Jersey, or they're called Taylor ham. The green chili cheeseburger's a cheeseburger with green chili poured on it. The Corona, I don't know what that is.
Earlier this year, we told you the Corona is still New York's most legendary dessert. Why? Well, aside from people around the world waiting in line to try it even years after its debut, the treat takes 3 whole days to make. It's a labor of love, rolled in sugar and glazed with ganache.
And some people stuff it, where the middle layer will have like cream or jelly or, you know, just what. Oh my. Well, you know, it's not polite to ask why we keep putting holes in it. But okay, I'll tell you the why, joking aside. The reason for the holes is, well, it's twofold. One, it's so that the center of it gets properly cooked. Because through that hole, oil or, you know, heat is able to get it. Otherwise, you need to be more careful with the whole donuts, with the ones without the holes, because the center might be completely undercooked. Secondly, well, this is more for bagels, though I don't know if this is true for donuts too, but it was true for bagels. The hole is also supposed to act as a thing that the vendors would carry. They take a string, put the string through all the bagels, and then literally walk around with this big old band of bagels around them. And when someone bought them, they would just take it off the string and hand it to you. It was sort of a practical thing. Plus, you know, it's easy to hold on to with the hole. You just gotta shove your finger into that hole. Get nice up and deep in it. Yes. Oh man, I was almost serious for 2 seconds.
You won't go wrong with barbecue in North Carolina. But heads up, because there are 2 kinds depending where you go.
Lexington,
If you're ordering Eastern style, you'll
style.
get meat from the whole hog, as they say. But if you find yourself at a Lexington-style restaurant, you can expect some form of pork shoulder. Recipes.
Also, I found out that the native sea life of my home state of Maryland is apparently invading Italy. The blue crab is apparently thriving in Italy to the point of where Italian chefs are having to learn how to cook it, and it's being sold at like half the price per pound of crab. Then you want to have good, really good blue crab, you no longer need to come to Maryland or one of the other places on the bay. You need to go to Italy, which for you is probably a lot more convenient and also a lot cheaper.
Recipes for Nefla soup may vary slightly, but everyone always has potatoes. It's what makes this rich and creamy soup so hearty.
Soup.
When in Cincinnati, we recommend
The Cincinnati chili, which is often put on spaghetti. Oh my. Let's see if you like this football.
It's headquartered in Oklahoma City and known for its
Sonic.
retro-themed in-car.
Oh, Sonic, yeah. Bah.
For a choice of more than 40 flavors, head to Voodoo Donut in Portland.
Oh, Voodoo Donuts. Yeah, they're a really neat place. You see, they have these little voodoo dolls that are stuffed with like cream, no, they're stuffed with jelly. And then what they do is they give you this little pretzel stick, and they'll shove the pretzel stick into the little voodoo doll, the donut voodoo doll. But yeah, it's sort of amusing. Oh yeah, they also have a gigantic donut that they call the Texas Big. Yeah. And they'll also perform weddings there. But yeah. No, it's just like...
The shop's signature treat is its Voodoo Doll Donut, a yeast donut filled with raspberry jam. Philly is known for cheesesteaks, but have you tried the roast pork sandwich from DeNick's? It comes with crumbled provolone, thin sliced roast pork, and broccoli rabe, all squeezed between a long, plush roll.
And then there's
At
the
Iggy's
Doughboy.
Doughboy and Chowder House, you've got to try the Doughboy, because fried dough is truly never a bad option. And this one comes with powdered sugar or sugar and cinnamon on top. You can find shrimp and grits at restaurants along the coast of South
I
Carolina.
know that looks like a pizza. It's not. It's a bed of grits with stuff on top of stuff. With like, you know, shrimp and spices on top of it. For a second there, I was like, wait, is that a shrimp and grits pizza? Like, no. It's just literally grits spread out like mashed potatoes and stuff piled on.
With some spices and bacon mixed in, you have an incredibly flavorful, hearty dish to enjoy. Chislic is something you'll really only find in South Dakota. Typically, this
Chislic.
meal consists of small cubes of meat
chicken.
on a wooden skewer,
Texas
usually
barbecue.
deep fried and salted.
Crown burgers, which have
If
the
you can
roast
handle the
beef in
heat,
it.
then you've got to try hot chicken. Virginia is home to 8
wait.
Reach, which is a pint of Ben & Jerry's.
Okay,
The Crown Burger comes with a quarter-pound patty
After this is
topped
Ben
with
&
hot,
Jerry's.
juicy pastrami.
I'm sure you know about Ben & Jerry's, right? Because I do know they have it in the UK. Yeah.
We love Ben & Jerry's, but really, who doesn't? The iconic ice cream brand is headquartered in Burlington, Vermont, It makes over 60 flavors, including chocolate therapy, which is a pint of chocolate ice cream with chocolate cookies and chocolate pudding. Virginia is home to 8 regions that harvest their own.
Oh, oyster. Okay, well, the oysters I know you're not a big fan of, but also the reason why I'll move it from the oysters. The reason why, like, Ben and Jerry's has such big pieces of stuff in it, if I remember correctly, is because the creator has a disorder where he has a bit of trouble tasting things or feeling. So it's to add some more texture, if I remember correctly. So his mouth can feel more sensation. And I don't know, don't quote me on that. I feel like what I'm saying is kind of right, but I also feel like it's kind of wrong. But yeah, it's because of the creator having some problems tasting things, if I remember correctly. And it's because he wanted an ice cream that he could really enjoy. So he did that. Oh well, whatever.
In the back. Walk into a convenience store in West Virginia, and you'll likely find pepperoni.
Oh, pepperoni rolls. It's a hot pocket!
And cheese. If you're looking to indulge in Wisconsin, we steer you to Solly's Grill. It serves a Wisconsin favorite known as the Butter Burger. It's like a regular burger, but with a heaping chunk of melted butter on top.
Yes.
Cowboy cookies are a popular treat in Wyoming.
You heard that right. A butter burger. You take a big old slab of their soft butter and just ply it on and put it on top. I have not had it. My father would murder me if he heard I had it. Then it's chili bowl and, well, yeah, that's... We've seen the rest of the stuff. And the cowboy cookies are just, mixture of nuts and other stuff. Oh man, I love the taste of nuts in my mouth. Yes, indeed. So, you want to see the most iconic restaurants in every state, the most popular fast food places in every state? Or do you want me to start covering different styles of stuff? Because they have stuff like pizza. This is a joke video I threw in, which is from Video Game Donkey. Every style of hot dog, which, don't get me wrong, there are some very, very unique styles of hot dog. And then there are, hey, and this okay, I'm leaning forward weirdly because I moved forward. Yeah. Okay. Still not good. Fixed. I should probably click be right back before doing that. Oh no, you're seeing all the porn. Oh God, no. No, you saw it all. How embarrassing. But yes. And it's just like, oh, on this hot dog, we only allow mustard, no ketchup. And then in another state, we also only put ketchup, like mustard, no ketchup. But you're allowed to put onions. And then this one, we put chili. And then in 10 more, we put chili on our hot dog. Oh, yes. But we only use a specific local brand of hot dog. And it's like, just... A lot of them are very, very similar. Where it's kind of like... Okay, come on now. These are the same thing. But yeah. So what appeals to you more? Learning about the iconic restaurants? Or the styles? Person, you're the only person who's responding, so you are basically a dictator of choice in this. Oh no. She's going mad with power. The styles? Okay. So, pizza? Well, I'll start in order of them. So here we
goes, pizza is like sex,
I
even
wouldn't
when
know
it's
that.
bad.
I mean,
As the saying
yes,
goes,
I've totally done that.
pizza
No,
is
I
like
mean-
sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. What's not to love about a chewy crust, zesty sauce, gooey cheese, and a mind-boggling array of potential toppings? The beauty of
yes,
pizza is
sorry
that it can be
about
made
that,
in
no.
an infinite number of ways. Today on Weird History Food, we're looking at most every style of pizza made in the
How would you like to order an American pizza? Literal America.
United States.
And look, it's the Florida, America's dong. Yeah.
But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, leave a comment and let us know what other food-related topics you would like to hear about. Okay, time to deliver all kinds of delicious pizza pies in 20 minutes or less. Guaranteed.
Okay, as a European, you may not get that. But a long time ago, like I'm not sure if I was alive at this point or not, there was a deal where the delivery driver the delivery was, if you don't get your pizza in 20 minutes or less, the pizza is free. However, a bunch of accidents occurred because of that, and people died. So they stopped that thing. But okay, sorry. Depressing thing. Oh, sorry about that. And we're just supposed to talk about like interesting styles of pizza. I'm sorry.
New York and pizza go together like the birds and the bees, and bagels and cream cheese. Not surprising then that the Big Apple has its own brand of pie. Tracing back to the recipes that immigrants from Naples brought with them across the Atlantic, New York-style pizza has evolved into its own thing. It's cheesier than its Neapolitan ancestor, and a bit bigger. The wide triangular slices.
Okay, sorry to stop it again. The reason why American Italian food is different than Italian food is because of the fact that, well, a lot of the people who came to America from Italy were the poor. And actually, they were kicked out of Italy because they were seen as racially, they were seen as racially inferior. And they were sent to America because, well, in Italy they didn't want them. What they found when they came to America is the food was so much cheaper. And because of that, in the recipes that they made, they added more meat, they added more cheese, they added more tomato sauce, they added a bunch of stuff to sort of celebrate that in spite of being kicked out of their home country, they had so much more now. And you know, when they weren't being held back by race laws and all this other stuff, they, you know, could actually achieve great things. Which, yes, back then there were you could be racist against white people. Because back then people were like, screw Italians, screw the Irish, screw the British, screw, like, basically, I hate everyone who's not me. But, yeah.
Which any true New Yorker would fold lengthwise to eat, are cut from a thin crust pie about 18
The amount of different styles people have come up to eat a slice of pizza in America is sort of crazy. There's the normal way, which, you know, you just pick up pizza, stick it in mouth. Yes, tasty pizza. There is the fold, which you know is the next common one, where you just take the piece of pizza, you fold it in half, and then you just bite it like that. Then there comes the sort of weirder ones, which I will list two to save us time on this video. The first one is, you rip off the back of the crust, you put the crust in the center of the pizza, and then you fold it. That way you get a bit of the bite of the crust with a bite of the pizza. And that way you can eat the crust without it feeling dry. Then there's the other weird way, which is you roll up the slice of pizza so that it basically becomes sort of like a little burrito, and then people bite it like that. I told you there are weird ways of eating pizzas. There's even weirder ways. But I'm going to end it right there. Hey, it's not like I said something weird. Like you take it with your butt cheeks and you feed it to your friend. Yes, indeed. But yeah, it's not the weirdest thing. And that reminded me of something else. Have you heard of Pac-Man? Now, you know in Japan, his name is actually Puck-Man. Or at least it used to be. I believe they might have changed it when they brought it here. Well, you see, back in the day, when the original cabinets of Pac-Man came to America, they saw the name and they're like, no, no, no. You cannot call him Puck-Man because we're putting these in bars. Do you know how fast people are going to remove that P and replace it with another letter? Oh my God. Like, oh, I'm gonna go play some fuck man, yeah. Also, Pac-Man's design was based off, a pizza with a slice or two out, if I remember correctly. Stuff I learned from my degree in video game design. I've learned some other stuff like the Donkey Kong lawsuit, which helped with 2 games. One, we're talking about. I don't think you care about learning a little bit about game history because it's sort of silly little stuff. So let's continue, unless you say
inches in diameter, the perfect size for a pizza wrap.
Yeah, there's a...
Overshadowed by...
Oh, you want me to tell you about it? All right, then. During the time that Donkey Kong came to America, the people who were, or I believe it was Paramount, the people who had the rights to the King Kong, property, were like, you can't call him Donkey Kong because you're alluding to King Kong and that's our property. When literally, the reason why Donkey Kong is called Donkey Kong, Donkey because he's stubborn, Kong because he's a monkey, and King Kong was the most iconic and famous big monkey at the time, or ape rather. So Nintendo went to court with the owners of the King Kong property, and they won. The lawyer who they had at the time had the last name Kirby, and as thanks for winning their lawsuit, they gave him a boat named the Donkey Kong, and they gave him a license saying that he could name any ship he owned Donkey Kong. In addition, to further praise this guy, they named everyone's favorite pink marshmallow that devours everything Kirby. Some people would say, wow, you learned that? And you probably watched a video online and learned about that. Nope. I learned about that in college. I have a literal textbook somewhere in my parents' house that covers video game history and various random factoids like that. There was a test, and I believe it was on it. Of course, back then, people didn't look at YouTube as much for information. But things have changed greatly in that time. God, so much. Back then, we were like, God, the world's gone to shit. It can't possibly get worse than it is now. Oh, we were so wrong. Oh, so wrong. It's honestly not funny. Let's talk
My
about
thin
food to
crust
take our
cousin,
mind off
Grandma
this horrible
style,
thing.
is New York's best-kept pizza secret. Named for all the nonnas who express their amore in the kitchen, Grandma Pie has roots in the old country. Like Sicilian pizza,
Look at that weird three-legged man. Behold the flag of Sicily. Wait, if he's got 3 legs, does that mean? Oh God, is that a? Do I need to do I need to censor that? Is this appropriate for YouTube? Yeah, sorry about that. All the Sicilians hate me.
Grandma Pies boast a thick crust and are
Or is the guy just helicoptering very fast?
baked in rectangles. But unlike its Sicilian ancestor, the Grandma-style dough is proofed for a shorter time, producing a heartier base. Toppings are often simple, just cheese, fresh tomato sauce, maybe some herbs, and that's it. No pineapple on this pie. Despite its roots in Sicily, Nonna's invention is relatively recent. Long Island pizza makers began producing grandma pies in the 1960s or 70s, although the pizza only started appearing on menus within the last 2 decades. Say Chicago-style pizza, and many people imagine deep dish. But most residents of the Windy City will correct the record.
What's the difference? Come on, spit it out.
Deep dish is for tourists.
It's the
Real
bean.
Chicagoans eat tavern-style pizza.
This is called the Bean. It's in Chicago. It is a decoration which you can visit. It is really shiny and reflective.
Real Chicagoans eat tavern-style pizza, a thin and crispy crust pie cut into squares. The small, uniform slices make for a very social pie. They're easily held by hand, ideal for parties and events, and for eating at the bar while watching the Bears have another losing season.
That's the Chicago way.
Most people associate Buffalo, New York with its namesake hot wings, but the city has another culinary curiosity, Buffalo-style pizza. As Arthur Bovino described it in the Daily Beast, the dough has the lightness of focaccia. There's always lots of cheese, and while the sauce does happen to be slightly sweet, that ends up being a nice contrast to the spicy oil pooled in the copious charred, meaty pepperoni. That sounds delectable and messy. Delectable messiness. Buffalo pizza also lacks the typical crusty rim. The sauce, cheese, and pepperoni extend to the edge of the pie, so bring extra napkins.
New Haven.
New York City may be the self-proclaimed capital of pizza in the U.S., but its neighbor up the eastern seaboard has its own loyal base of pie hounds. In New Haven, Connecticut, locals and Yale University students alike line up for the celebrated Beats, a New Haven original. As pizza historian Liz Barrett described it, one of the hallmarks of a Beats is its birth in a coal oven. But that's not the only thing that defines a New Haven-style pizza. Some of the characteristics that many New Haven-style pies seem to have in common are what locals call a flat, not thin, and tender crust, which is a result of the proofing process, and the use of all-purpose flour, sauce that is never pre-cooked, the use of Pecorino Romano cheese instead of mozzarella, and the use of breadcrumbs beneath the dough during baking instead of cornmeal. The white clam pie originated at Frank Pepe Pizzeria Napoletana sometime in the 1950s, but now you can find examples in nearly every pizzeria in New Haven. According to Barrett, this bivalve studded pie is a direct descendant of a New Haven-style pizza. In its purest form, the white clam pie is topped with fresh shucked clams, olive oil, grated Pecorino Romano cheese, oregano, and garlic. Some use fresh clams, some can. Each preparation has its set of enthusiasts, depending on the severity of your hangover. Pizza lovers in Detroit rev their engines for the distinctive Detroit-style pizza. A twist on the classic grandma pie, it's baked at a higher temperature than Nonna's pizza, and is cut into rectangles, like the pizza.
And it has that crispy edge, which is made from the cheese caramelizing in the pan.
pizza we used to get at school, it also differs from other pizzas in its cheese. A true Detroit-style pizza uses Wisconsin brick cheese, not mozzarella. To trace the origins of Detroit-style pizza, look no further than Buddy's, which has operated as a restaurant since 1946. Although it started in Motor City, Detroit-style pizza has gained a national following. Restaurants serving it have sprung up in noted pizza towns like New York and Chicago. Pizza is a popular snack option at bars nationwide. Nothing mops up alcohol like a slab of dough and cheese. But not every pie consumed in a bar is technically bar-style pizza. Proper bar style starts with a thin, crispy crust with a touch of pliability and is generally personal size, around 10 to 12 inches. Although technically, any pizza is personal sized if you're not a coward. Instead of a generous, crusty rim, in this variation, the sauce and cheese extend nearly to the edge of the pie. So again, napkins are advised. Many regions claim to have created the bar pizza, but the style's true origins remain a mystery.
Oh, the jumbo slice.
Sometimes a name says it all. That's true of Washington, D.C.'s signature pizza, the so-called jumbo slice. It's not a misnomer. A jumbo slice can range in length from roughly a foot to about 16 inches. The slices are so big that they are traditionally served in oversized containers for those nights when you just need to eat as much pizza as you can legally buy. Come on, we've all been there.
Why did that guy sound like he was dying? Pizza! Like that Adventure Time episode. Pizza!
You want to fight about pizza? Bring up deep dish. Standing and imposing 2 to 3 inches tall, deep dish is more reminiscent of a conventional dessert pie than almost any other pizza. Cheese, toppings, and tomato sauce are nestled within and atop a buttery crust. And it's all baked longer than a typical pizza. Usually,
1 second. I just need to play one thing for you. Okay, here it is.
A toast to peace between New York and Chicago.
While New York City won today, it's no contest which city takes the cake when it comes to, well, just about everything else.
Deep dish pizza is quite good.
Okay. I was gonna be nice. But now you're gone too far. So let me explain something. Deep dish pizza is not only not better than New York pizza, it's not pizza. It's a casserole. I'm surprised you haven't thought to complete your deep dish pizza by putting some canned onion rings on top of it. It's a cornbread biscuit which you've melted cheese on, and then, in defiance of God and man and all things holy, you poured uncooked marinara sauce atop the cheese. Atop. The cheese on top, the sauce, naked, cold, on display like some sort of sauce hooer. You know the expression, there's no such thing as bad sex or bad pizza? Your pizza is like sex with a corpse made of sandpaper. Let me tell you something. This is not pizza. This is tomato soup in a bread bowl. This is an above-ground marinara swimming pool for rats. Let me tell you something about your not pizza. I want to know when I get drunk and pass out on my pizza that I'm not going to drown. Let me tell you something. I look at this.
Came at a great time, Moon.
You son of a bitch. I look at this. Yeah. Gabagoo. I look at this. When I look at your deep dish pizza, I don't know whether to eat it or throw a coin in it and make a wish. And if I made a wish, it would be that I wish for some real pizza. Now, in all due respect, I realize it's very cold in Chicago, very cold, it's windy, you need to be able to, I don't know, have a pizza and maybe cut it open and climb inside it like a tauntaun to keep warm. Seriously, who you kidding? Who uses an iron skillet to make a pizza? You don't use an iron skillet to make a pizza. You use an iron skillet to fend off someone who tries to serve you pizza made in a skillet. Here's how I know I'm right. You call it Chicago-style pizza. You call it deep dish pizza, stuffed pizza. You know what we call it? Huh? You know what we call this? You know what we call this? Pizza. Oh, that's nice. And by the way, you don't put tomatoes and celery salt on hot dogs either, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows there's 3 acceptable condiments for a hot dog. There's mustard, onions, and stagnant cart water. That's it.
They re-uploaded this because this is from when I was. Yeah, they re-uploaded this because this actual ranting thing went down so many years ago. Because Jon Stewart is a much older man now. But yeah. Oh wait, wrong video. But
Close to an
yeah.
hour. Because it bakes for so long, the tomato sauce typically goes on top so the cheese and toppings don't burn. Deep dish pizza has a long history in Chicago. Pizzeria Uno, with Chicagoans Ike Sewell and Rick.
Well, the thing is, it's hard to try authentic New York style unless you're going straight to New York. Because everywhere in America, they claim stuff is like, this is New York style. When it's basically just American style pizza. Which is not, it's not bad, but it's not as good as New York.
Ricardo, opened in 1943, claims to be the originator. Over the decades, this thick pie has been ridiculed as much as it has been embraced. Proud New Yorker Jon Stewart ranted that Chicago deep dish was nothing more than a casserole. Even Chicagoans have voiced skepticism. Barack Obama observed, "No offense, Chicago, I love our pizza. New York's a little more practical. Chicago deep dish is basically, you have to sit down and eat it like lasagna." So basically the biggest complaint about deep dish pizza is you can't hork it down in 3 bites, which is admittedly a fair critique of pizza. St. Louis is known for its famous arch and gooey butter cake. It also has its own pizza. Like tavern style and many bar style pies, St. Louis pizza consists of a thin crust cut.
Okay, so this is a problem with a lot of the different styles. They'll be like, oh, our styles are very different. They're thin. Or they're thick. And then there's some which is like, these are actually very, very unique. But it's just like, yeah. Like, the barbecue video is going to be especially bad to look at because, well, you know, the cooking processes are all the same, basically. The only difference is, oh, we use this one type of wood. Or, oh, we use this other type of wood. Or we use sauce. We use a different sauce. Our sauce is barbecue sauce. Our sauce is a different type of barbecue sauce. Ooh! Which, don't get me wrong, in terms of the taste, makes it very, very different. But when it comes to, you know, looking at it, it's just like, this is the same damn thing. Which, you know, a lot of these, if I remember correctly, are the same damn thing, basically. But St. Louis style, which is, you know, it's just another thin sliced pizza. What is Cuban?
Crust? Oh yeah, they've got to figure it out.
Oh, a stuffed pizza. That's what that is.
was born in restaurants like Chez Panisse and Spago. Restaurateurs like Alice Waters and Wolfgang Puck put wood-fired pizzas on their menus featuring fresh, local ingredients.
That's a California
Puck
style.
especially raised eyebrows with toppings like smoked salmon and caviar, or Sonoma lamb with braised greens and rosemary. Because there is nothing different or unusual about California pizza's crust, shape, or cut, these days.
Yeah, California style pizza is basically just you put different ingredients. Pear is something that actually works on it. However, it's a very specifically sliced. It's thin, very thin slices of pear. Like, 1 second. Let's see. It's like pear and gorgonzola. Yeah, no, yeah. Oh, yes, totally hair pizza. I can send you if you want some hair pizza. No. Wait, is that corn? Like, the one I've seen looks a lot prettier before, but yeah. It's just slices of pear. That's a bit thick. But slices of pear and then gorgonzola and, yeah. There's also a fig pear pizza and other stuff. Like, fruits on pizza aren't that weird. It just depends on what you're using. So, wait, let's see. But yeah.
Days we just call it pizza, with fancy toppings. Old Forge, Pennsylvania may be a small town of roughly 8,000 people in the northeastern corner of the state, but it has its own distinct style of pizza. The original Old Forge pizza was cooked up in the 1920s at a local tavern owned by the Guigiarelli family. The pie is baked on a tray to produce a thick crust with a crispy exterior and soft interior. A red pizza uses a sweet, chunky tomato sauce, while a white pizza features cheese and toppings inside. You mean the whole pizza is a stuffed crust? Oh yeah, they've got to figure it out in Old Forge. So much so that many of the town's pizzerias make pizza the same way. Most people have heard of Cuban sandwiches and Cuban coffee, but Cuban-style pizza probably isn't as familiar.
Have you heard of Cuban coffee, person and moon? Okay, so Cuban coffee is served in these little tiny cups. Like if I, well, okay, actually, it would be better for me to show you a picture. Sorry. So, it might be hard for you to see in comparison, but it's like this little tiny, yes, there. This is how it's usually served, like either in this little tiny thing there. But you'd wonder, like, why the hell are they drinking such small portions of coffee? Because it's concentrated. This coffee is, like, as I said, it is ultra strong, ultra full of caffeine. It is, by people who like coffee, described as basically rocket fuel. But yeah, it is not for the faint of heart, and if you drink a full cup, it might cause you to have heart problems. A regular sized coffee cup of it.
Am I hallucinating here?
Or wait, actually, because of that, like, wait, let's see. Yeah, Gabriel Iglesias. Okay, yeah. Cuban coffee.
Oh my God! Thank you guys. You guys are all standing. No pressure. No pressure. Mm-hmm. We're having fun, you guys. We are here coming to you from South Florida. Heck yeah, man! Really close. I gotta ask a question since we're here. I just want to know, How many Latinos in the crowd tonight? Now, notice I asked Latinos. I wasn't very specific. Because if you call a Latino the wrong one, there's an issue. You call a Mexican, a Salvadorian, we get mad. You call a Puerto Rican, a Dominican, they get mad. You call a Cuban anything but a Cuban, you're gonna get stabbed. So for everyone here and everyone at home, I have found a way to figure out who's who. It's very easy. All you have to do is listen to the way the person is speaking Spanish. You don't have to understand a single. You guys speak Spanish? Like, everything means something. It's very serious. You ask a Cuban a question, bro, where you going? I don't know. Why you know? Just ask him. It's like, why is he yelling? And if Puerto Ricans who speak Spanish, like there's a time limit. Quick. Another way is the beverage. The beverage will let you know who you're dealing with. For example, a Mexican's preferred drink of choice is tequila, okay? A Puerto Rican's preferred drink of choice is either Don Q or Coquito, right? And a Cuban's preferred drink of choice is coffee. Now let me tell you how I know about this one. So a few years ago, Martina and I were doing a show at the Improv in Miami, and after the show was over, I was talking to Martina. I said, hey, bro, I said, we got to try out some of this Cuban food everybody's been talking about. It's our first time here. And so we go outside to catch a cab, and when we got in the car, I figured something out, and that is that Cubans come in every color of the rainbow. Cubans and Puerto Ricans, you go from really, really white all the way to freaking navy black, just hardcore. Wesley Snipes, just dark, scuro. El negro, hardcore, you know what I mean? I didn't know that there was such a thing as a black Cuban, because we get in the car and we're speaking Spanish, and this guy turns around and he's black, and he's like, ¿Dónde quieren ir? Where you wanna go? I'm like, oh my God. It freaked me out. I thought the partition was tinted. I didn't know. So he's yelling at it, ¿Dónde quiere ir? I'm like, dude, why is he yelling? I said, listen, we want to go somewhere to get some authentic Cuban food. Where can we go? And then he takes us to this place called Calle Ocho, which, for everyone at home, Calle Ocho is Spanish for 8th Street, and it's an area where, you know, it's very authentic. And he takes us to this restaurant called La Carreta, okay? So you can't miss it. There's a restaurant on the corner with a giant wagon wheel in front of it and a huge rooster. I don't know what the rooster does, but look out for him. We walk inside, and I think, what was it, Martin, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when we went in?
Easy 3 in the morning.
Easy 3 o'clock in the morning. We sit down at this table, and we're looking at the menu. We're trying to figure it out, and there's all kinds of bananas and all kinds of weird stuff that I'm like, I didn't know that. Okay, bananas, fine. Okay, let's do this. And here comes the waiter, and the waiter's coming over, and he gets in my face, and he's like, ¿Qué tú quieres? And I'm like, I forgot. Why is he yelling? I don't know. I said, listen, bro, I'll tell you what, let me look at this menu a little bit longer. I think we need some time, right? Yeah, we were like, yeah, we need some more time. And I says, for right now, can I just get a coffee? And he's like, okay, un cafecito. And he walks into the kitchen. He comes back 5 minutes later, seriously, with a little coaster and a shot glass of coffee on the coaster. And he puts it down in front of me, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, what is this? Es un cafecito. I go, dude, look at me. I'm not a Ito. I'm a Ande. And then I started thinking, maybe he knows who I am. I get the joke. Bring the really big guy, the really little cup. You know what I mean? And I said, bro, what is it? I go, no. Bring me a full-size cup of coffee. Take this back in the... I was frustrated. So the guy's like, okay, and what you want? Okay. So he grabs it, all pissed off, and then he goes in the kitchen and he starts talking trash to one of the cooks. He's like, Manolo, allá afuera un gordo que dije, una problema ya. And then he comes back with a bowl of Cuban coffee, okay? And he puts it down in front of me and he won't leave the table. He's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. Oh, I get it. He wants me to make sure this is what I want, what I want, right? So I pick up the bowl and I take a little sip of it. And when the coffee hit my tongue, I was like, oh my God, this is the most concentrated coffee I've ever had. It was really, really strong. And then it clicked. That's why they bring you a little shot glass of this stuff. So now I don't want to look stupid making him take a bowl of coffee back in the kitchen. So I picked it up to my face again and I drank the whole thing. Well done. I knew I messed up, bro. I knew I messed up because the waiter looked at me and he's like, vaya con Dios.
You get that, right? He did this. I don't know if they do it there, but he did the sign of the cross.
He goes back in the kitchen. He's like, Manolo, call 911. 10 minutes go.
911 is to call the police or like emergency services in America.
By you guys, I am so wired. That coffee is strong. That is the only way in the world Cubans can make that swim.
I don't know if you know this, but there are Cubans who leave Cuba by swimming all the way to Florida from Cuba. But yeah. Oh yeah, they really don't like living in Cuba.
Yeah, just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
It turns out this fresh take on the classic is as delicious as it is different. What makes it so unique? The addition of Gouda to its cheese blend, proving once again that adding more cheese is always a Gouda idea. This pizza style can be found in Miami, Florida, home of a robust Cuban-American community, where restaurants like Ray Pizza and Pa Comer have been serving up slices for years. Youngstown, Ohio, located in the...
Wait, so the only difference between it and other styles of pizza is we add Gouda cheese. Gouda is a type of cheese, just making sure. It's not just me mispronouncing Gouda, or good. But yeah. The bar for some of these styles is
the northeastern part of the Buckeye State was a steel hotspot in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It flourished thanks to in part a workforce composed largely of immigrants, including Italians. The Italians who flocked to the city's Briar Hill neighborhood brought along their language, culture, and recipes. And since you've been watching the video for this long, you know recipes means pizza. The new residents drew upon pizza from Italy's Basilicata region to create Briar Hill-style pies in Youngstown. Not too thick and not too thin, the pizza has a crunchy crust and uses Romano cheese. But the secret is in its Sunday sauce, a tomato-based concoction that is both sweet and tangy. The Briar Hill-style pie became popular in the 1940s and continues to be served in some city restaurants. Y-Town is my town.
Tomato and cheese.
Staying in Northeast Ohio, about 40...
By the way, you making jokes is at least can be put off as you being, you know, a European. I am if I had American fan base, I would be crucified.
Miles west of Pittsburgh is Steubenville, Ohio, home of Ohio Valley Pizza. What makes it so unique? When a pie goes into the oven, it is just the dough, tomato sauce, and a dusting of cheese. Then an extra layer of cold cheese and toppings is added after the bake, creating a tantalizing blend of hot and cold flavors. It sounds like a pizza a drunk person made by accident, but Ohio Valley pizzas have been a local favorite since 1945, when the DiCarlo family started a pizzeria in Steubenville and debuted their unique pie.
Interesting.
One more for the Ohio. Believe it or not, Dayton, Ohio is home to its own style of pizza. Thin crust and square cut, Dayton-style pies have been served since the 1950s.
Isn't that just tavern style from Detroit?
50s, when Vic Cassano opened the pizzeria that bears his last name. Other pizza makers who had connections to Cassano soon joined the game and opened their own joints. Ron Holp of Ron's Pizza is credited with starting Dayton's Pizza Wars. Marion Glass, another Cassano-connected pizza maker, upped the ante by adding a dining room to his restaurant, Marion's Pizza. Luckily, the best thing about a pizza war is that the customer never loses. It just means more pizza. Greek pizza is a unique pie served in restaurants opened by Greek immigrants in New England, particularly in Boston. It's been an alternative to quick service chains like Pizza Hut and includes a thick, chewy crust with plenty of sauce, cheese, and oregano. Many people who grew up eating this unique pie admit that while Greek pizza may not be the best style out there, it nonetheless hits the spot in a pinch. Look, we may be talking about dozens of unique spins on a recipe, but we can all agree that the basic formula for a pizza is tomato sauce spread over dough with a sprinkling of cheese and toppings, right? Not according to pizzerias in Trenton, New Jersey, home to the tomato pie, the city's own take on grabbing a slice. Instead of layering cheeses over tomato, the Trenton pie puts a chunky tomato sauce on top of the cheese, creating a tasty tomato-forward flavor. Trenton tomato pie may even be a bit more authentic than some of the Americanized offerings out there. If authenticity is important when you're putting a hurtin' on an 18-inch with extra cheese, the style has its roots in the pizza served at Joe's Tomato Pies. The eatery was opened in 1910 by Joe Silvestro, an immigrant from Naples, the city that birthed pizza. One of Silvestro's employees opened his own restaurant, Papa's Tomato Pies, that still bakes tomato pies for customers in Trenton. In New York City, pizza lovers pay by the slice. In Colorado, they pay by the pound. Colorado-style pizza, also known as Colorado Mountain Pie, which is something food should never be called, originated at Bo.
That's because a lot of stuff is out there. You call something like a cow pie or something like that, and you mean like a cow poop or stuff like that. So you calling it a mountain pie, it's just like, did you really just take something from out there and then serving it to me? Oh my God, you motherfucker. Yeah, sorry.
Joe's Pizzeria in the 1970s in Idaho Springs, just west of Denver. This decadent spin on the classic food is a doughy delicacy. Although
this one also looks very different from the unique crust, but wait until you hear what they do with it.
Diners can add a number of toppings, what really counts is its crust. Chefs use honey, not sugar, to bake the pizza's signature thick, braided crust. The Quad Cities, 5 small cities clustered around the Mississippi River in Illinois and Iowa, may be overshadowed by nearby Chicago, but their pizza is worth trying. Quad City-style pizza boasts a spicy tomato sauce and sausage, and is cut into strips instead of square or triangular slices for maximum binging efficiency. Chefs also use malt syrup or molasses to create a sweeter, softer crust. Philadelphia is known for its cheesesteaks, but the city of brotherly love serves up another local offering, tomato pies. They're made of thick dough, a layer of chunky tomato, and a scant dusting of grated cheese. As Philadelphia Magazine described it, tomato pie, our city's cheeseless wonder, can be traced back to thick tomato-topped dough slices made in Sicily that traveled here with waves of Italian immigrants, some of whose bakeries still stand as icons of the craft. And although New Jersey has its own thin-crusted cheese on the bottom version, we like Philly-style tomato pie best, with lots of red gravy, thick and tender crust, and just a sprinkling of Parmesan on top. Philly tomato pie has built generations of loyal fans, who generally eat slices cold or at room temperature. Sometimes cold pizza is better pizza.
Better than hot pizza? That's insane.
You don't tell me what kind of pizza to like.
New England boasts many regional specialties, many of them seafood related, like lobster rolls and clam chowder, and whatever mythological ocean serpent gave the Patriots their powers. But there is another regional food associated with New England, beach pizza. It's a sheet tray pie topped with a sweet tomato sauce, a dusting of grated cheese, and a slice of provolone. You're most likely to find beach pizza in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. The location that's been slinging slices of beach pizza the longest is Tripoli Bakery, whose recipe dates back to 1944. Rhode Island is home to one of the most unique pizza varieties, red strips, which is lucky because Rhode Island isn't home to much else. Like the name suggests, red strips are rectangular pizza strips of baked dough and tomato sauce. That's right. Red strips.
It looks like they forgot it behind the couch or something. It's probably fine.
Our pizza without the cheese. Don't bother calling the police. They don't care.
Okay, that's $122.50.
Not for me, kid. I don't live here.
The other unique attribute of red strips is they aren't served at pizzerias. Instead, Rhode Islanders find red strips at local bakeries. Pizza comes in all shapes and sizes, but one of the most consistent features is mozzarella, right? Not
All
according
shapes
to
and
the good
sizes.
people of...
It's square or round. Though they do sell weird shapes occasionally. It's mostly square or round. Two people
Altoona,
came, 2 people
Pennsylvania,
left.
about 2 hours east of Pittsburgh. As the Pittsburgh City paper described it, Altoona style is composed of Sicilian-style dough and cut into squares. On top of the dough is a layer of sweet tomato sauce, then some deli-style salami, then a thick green bell pepper ring, and then topped with yellow cheese. Like
American cheese. Like, oh my god. What the hell?
Velveeta or American. Sounds more like mozzarella. The pizza's unconventional ingredients have led some to cry foul and insist it isn't pizza at all. But if we've learned nothing else today, it's that
I mean, if the red strip is considered a pizza, then this is a pizza.
in these United States, the definition of pizza is limited only by the chef's creativity and locals' willingness to claim and defend it as their own. So what do you think? Which style of pizza is the best? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.
Yeah. The food that they cover here is sort of interesting. But like, yeah. And now it's time for Donkey's video.
What is up, everybody? It's your... What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Silly. What is up, everybody? It's your boy, Silly Rick.
In 1983, America invented pizza. To celebrate our Independence Day, I will now talk about all of the best pizzas from every city in America. Amen. Let's start with our nation's worst city, California. Pretty much the only thing to do in California is go to Disneyland, and that's why everybody's favorite Zion Kelly is at the Pizza Planet cafeteria in Disneyland, because the pizza there is out of this world. Oh man, what am I gonna do? Sometimes when I'm down in the dumps, I gotta treat myself to an Ohio-style pizza. Now, the way they do it down there is to put 100 million little pepperonis all over the pizza so that in every bite, you are hitting at least 4 different slices of pepperoni. Ohio, I think you guys are onto something. Colorado, the lost city of gold. Colorado is famous for its patented bubble crust style pizza because that's how old gold miners would make it back in the day after they walked out of a tunnel. The crust closely resembles a Colorado mountain because that it goes 15,000 feet up into the air. Look at that big ass crust. The Hawaiians are an ancient people. To them, pizza is a sacred tradition between man and beast. They take a big lavash cracker bread, then they put some Havarti cheese on there, slices of ham, and then pineapple. And then they take a big bite and go, oh no, because that means delicious in Hawaiian. Look it up. Maine. Don't get me started on this.
Hawaiian style pizza was originated in Canada. Donkey is making a shitpost.
Place. This is Maine pizza. Grow up. Montana puts cherries on their pizza. I'm serious. Look it up. Flathead cherries. They pick them off the tree and throw them straight on a pizza, and there's nothing we can do about it at this point. Alabama, baby. Yeehaw! Now, Alabama loves barbecue chicken pizza. I know it sounds stupid to us normal people, but down there it's the only food they know. So take some pity on Alabama and try a slice of their idiotic barbecue chicken pizza. Rhode Island pizza strips. This is a slice of pizza sitting in an unrefrigerated bag at the gas station. This pisses me off. For real. There's no cheese even. I would not wish this pizza on my greatest enemy, Chicago. Everybody knows how they do it down in Chicago with the Chicago deep dish style pizza. You get the height of a Colorado pizza, but with a more exacting shape, a ton of cheese, and then of course they dump a bunch of tomato sauce on top. With this type of pizza, it really comes down to the sauce, which is why most people from Chicago will tell you that the best deep dish pizza is the deep dish Lunchables pizza, which is actually very similar to the Rhode Island pizza, except it comes with cheese and an Incredible Hulk trading card. A lot of people have never heard of the Nebraska style pizza before, so let me explain. It's just a papadilla from Papa John's. Basically, Papa John's folded a pizza in half and said that's a quesadilla. I think this is what he was talking about when he said the day of reckoning was coming.
Go grab me Seattle slice. Seattle puts fucking scrambled eggs on their pizza, you silly motherfuckers.
Taco Island. A lot of people don't recognize this as an official territory of the United States. Detroit. Everybody from Detroit talks like this.
Hey Frank, let's go grab a Detroit slice.
How come they all talk like that, man? Detroit pizza is a rectangle. Better than Phoenix style. I don't know what the fuck is going on over there.
Go grab me a New York slice. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
This is why every state has better New York style pizza than New York. But if you want the true, authentic New York slice, you gotta go to, everybody from New York watching, say with me now. 3, 2, 1, Sbarro. That's right. New Yorkers love Sbarro. Ask any of them. You can take the New Yorker out of...
Sbarro's is a very low quality pizza place that you usually get in food courts. There is a story in the original location of Sbarro's. It is apparently they make authentic style pizza, but you know, every other location was made to be a fast food chain.
In New York, but you can't get all of the former New York residents out of every Sbarro restaurant across the country. Massachusetts style pizza. This is gonna sound crazy, but they like to burn their pizza to a crisp. I kid you not. See how it's starting to bend upwards? They actually wanted that to happen. Wisconsin. Grab a seat and let me tell you how we do it here down in Wisconsin. Mac and cheese pizza. Hell yeah. The two best foods of Italy are pizza and pasta. By combining both with the power of Wisconsin cheese, basically, this shit is yummy to me. Everything's bigger in Texas, yeehaw, partner. This is why Texas pizza is so big. Look at how big their pizza is. This is a small size there. Imagine how big their ovens are. Boston doesn't have any pizza restaurants. They don't believe in it. New Jersey style, but a bitch. I only know one thing about New Jersey, and that is that they love thin crust pizza over there. And I'm not talking thin crust, I'm talking thin crust. You know what I'm talking about? Like a piece of paper. Philadelphia Batman style pizza. Philly, I know you guys love Batman, but this pizza is stupid. Why did you try to shape your pizza like Batman? What is wrong with you people? You know what they say when they slice the pizza up? Snyder cut. Fucking place. Alaska style pizza.
Now, do we have anybody watching this video from Portland in the audience today? Hell yeah, baby. Portland time. Silly.
Which one of you motherfuckers invented pizza soup? Are you trying to bring shame on this country?
Oklahoma City pizza. Woo, doggy.
Pepperoni. I like that. Rotisserie chicken and chocolate style pizza. It doesn't say where this one is from, but you already know it's from Florida.
Yeah. And I guess to, let's see.
To state the obvious.
I'm going to go out to take a short break from that type of stuff. We'll cover a more interesting thing. American foods that are banned in other countries. Now, dessert pizzas can work, but in order to make a dessert pizza work, you've got to use a different kind of dough, like a sweet dough, and then don't use tomato sauce, you use like, chocolate sauce, and then you put stuff like there, or something like that, I mean, you can make a dessert pizza that sort of looks like a real pizza and then freak people's mouth. Yeah, well, I'm not talking, that's the wrong way. Pizza shouldn't have anything on it that, well, no, I'm talking about different. Pizza shouldn't have anything on it that you have to remove in order to eat. I was choosing to ignore the whole fucking rotisserie pizza. Like chicken on a pizza. I mean, just brain short circuited there for a second. Because is the chicken cooked separately? It has to be cooked separately. Because otherwise the pizza would be burned by the time the thing was there. Or it would just be a gross mess of like chicken juice. Alright, we'll watch this to change the subject.
States is the epitome of clean. If you've always thought that the United States is the epitome of clean and safe food production, you may have a change of perspective after watching this video. From questionable practices in mass production to the use of potentially harmful chemicals, other countries have valid reasons to cast doubt on the safety of foods claiming to be FDA approved. Indeed, some American foods have even been banned by other nations. In this video, we'll mention the unsettling truth behind these bans and uncover the darker side of American food production. Before we begin, click on the subscribe button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Swiss rolls. Swiss rolls contain 32 milligrams of dye per product, which can harm children. It's not just about making them hyperactive. Some studies suggest that cutting out artificial food—
Who the hell thought what? Oh, well, you know, some people do think that.
Food coloring
Chaos Swiss roll
could be almost as effective as giving kids Ritalin. There's also a link between artificial food coloring and cancer. These dyes can damage white blood cells, causing mutations in just 3 hours. This exposure could make tumor cells grow faster. Researchers advise against regularly consuming food colorings throughout life because of these risks, even though they're tasty. Interestingly, you can't buy Little Debbie Swiss rolls in Norway and Austria, but you can in the US, only that they come with warning labels for parents, similar to cigarettes. Can you imagine that? Milk. Did you realize that there's a difference between milk and milk? Well, not easily identified, but most of the milk consumed in the United States contains some certain form of growth hormones called RBGH, the recombinant bovine growth hormone. Cow milk is supposed to be the most healthy source of animal protein and calcium in the US. But the American Cancer Society—
Otis is supposed to be a male cow. So his milk is... Oh no.
Society said that RBGH is a man-made product meant to increase how much milk cows produce, meaning the producers are out for more gains than actual health safety. The question now is, why is it still allowed in the US? The USDA says that only about 9.7% of dairy companies are using it, but they're still using it, and that's a problem. This growth hormone is fully banned in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and the European countries. Breakfast cereal.
Hey.
Hello.
I'd like to ask a few questions about this breakfast cereal.
Yeah, box of tricks.
These sets of meals are top in the charts of the general meals every American household holds dear for daily survival. Think about kids munching up on some cereal before leaving for school every day with milk that we've already established how unsafe they may be.
Oh, nigga, please.
How exactly are cereals harmful? In Japan and the European Union, Kellogg's cereals like Frosted Flakes, Rice Krispies, and Honey Bunches of Oats can't be sold because they have a flavor enhancer that can cause cancer.
You know, that's not as bad as it looks.
Also, they use BHA and BHT to improve shelf life of these cereals. What are BHA and BHT? BHA stands for butylated hydroxyanisole, and BHT stands for butylated hydroxytoluene. They're synthetic antioxidants commonly used as food additives to prevent spoilage and rancidity in foods containing fats and oils. The sad truth is that the FDA is also trying to help these companies from running into losses if their products can wait for a while to be completely sold out. Fair enough, but what about those eating them? Farmed salmon. If you eat a lot of salmon for its health benefits, you should think about whether it's wild-caught or farm-raised. Farm-raised salmon are given an unnatural diet and drugs that consist of unnatural and unhealthy grains and antibiotics that aren't safe for human consumption.
Drink for you, Elsie. Jonesy, you gotta hold still in order to get a drink.
Worse still, they're given a chemical called astaxanthin to turn their flesh pink, which can harm your eyes. Some countries, like Austria and New Zealand, ban farm-raised salmon because of these issues. So it's better to choose wild-caught salmon for good health. But how can you tell? I just told you, look out for the unnatural pinkish color. Bread. Have you ever seen a crunchy French baguette? Maybe in a cartoon or real life? They look and feel great, almost like you can eat it right out of the screen, right? But let's be real. You may want to quickly have some to make some quick lunch for your kids. And then you think, I can't make a sandwich with that. And then you quickly go for some store-bought bread. As much as we praise sliced bread, many of the bread options in American stores aren't as great. That's because they're loaded with additives, like azodicarbonamide, which helps bleach flour and make the dough stronger. It's interesting that azodicarbonamide isn't just used in bread. It's also found in various industrial products, like yoga mats.
I forgot about that. So the reason Subway bread is so fluffy is because they use that additive. And Subway got into a whole ton of problems years ago because it was filling its bread with yoga mat filling. And now I find out that apparently other companies are now doing it too.
European Union's banned its use.
As I said, America's fucked.
In food products because they don't want their citizens eating something that's also used in yoga mats. Pork. Pork also
because in the spokesperson was, hey, it's supposed to be safe for human consumption. Tasty yoga mat. When you're not eating it, you can do yoga on it. Yummy, yummy. In my tummy.
Also known as the other white meat, is very popular in America, just like chicken, fish, and beef. Americans eat around 67 pounds of pork per person each year, enjoying various pork products like bacon, ham, hot dogs, and pork chops. However, there's a concern about the chemicals added during pork processing, such as ractopamine, which is used to make pigs grow bigger. Many countries, including China and Russia, totaling 160, have banned ractopamine because they believe it's not safe for people to consume.
Oh, okay. Jesus. No. If China says no to that, then my God. Wait till we get to Japan. Because of America, Japan uses more chemicals than we do. Japan also uses more pesticides than we do. By a lot.
As a result, many countries have banned the export of pork. European Union countries stopped using ractopamine since the outlaw, which I think is the only one banned in the US. China and Russia also stopped using ractopamine in 2013. This might be because ractopamine can have similar effects on humans as an intoxicant, causing fast heart rate, headaches, and muscle spasms if consumed in large amounts. However, some people might argue that these risks are worth it for delicious pork. Chlorinated chicken.
Hey, Fallout Boy.
What's for lunch tomorrow?
Next.
Chicken next.
In America, keeping things clean often means soaking them in a chlorine tank. This includes chicken, which is approved by the FDA. Pathogen reduction treatments, or PRTs, involve using chemicals to kill harmful germs on raw meat. American food regulators decided that quickly soaking chicken in chlorine is the best way to kill salmonella and other bacteria.
Then I hereby declare you chicken for life. Every morning you'll wake up to "Good morning, chicken."
The European Union isn't totally against using chlorine, but they prefer other methods. Chlorine consumption isn't very risky. The real issue with chlorine baths is that they only tackle a small part of a bigger problem. Some people are concerned that these treatments aren't enough to handle all the bacteria.
Oh, so you see, chlorine isn't the issue. Because, you know, enjoy your chlorine chicken. Moon in person.
Bacteria, especially those from things like bad feed or dirty farms.
Oh my God, no way.
The European Union thinks using chlorine is just a quick solution and believes no chemical rinse can get rid of all bacteria. However, they admit chlorine is necessary to kill bacteria from heavily contaminated meat due to poor hygiene. Steak tartare.
Then what the hell's the problem? They're just trying to freak people out by saying we dip our stuff in chlorine? It's just like, oh, yeah, but like it's not allowed in other countries. You just said that that Europe allows it.
Long flight to visit countries that don't allow certain American foods. Just drive to Canada, show your passport, and say you're not bringing any raw meat in your car. Today, eating raw meat, like steak tartare, isn't popular in the US. But Canada and Australia especially have zero tolerance for it compared to the American chefs trying to make some name from the infamous cuisine. Eating undercooked or raw foods, especially beef and poultry, can make you sick with food poisoning or parasites.
No, don't. Consuming small amounts of it is okay, but no, don't.
Despite that, steak tartare, which is considered a fancy food, was often overlooked by countries. For example, in Canada, there's guidelines for cooking meat to a safe temperature, but they weren't strictly enforced. However, in 2021, restaurants in New Brunswick selling steak tartare were told to stop. Canadian health officials were worried about the risk of botulism, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Peanut butter. The average American probably doesn't know that they consume a lot of palm oil.
Well, okay, just... Yeah, don't. Don't. Now, I can't tell you what goes into your body, but please don't.
Because they already consume a lot of peanut butter. Almost everything you use every day has palm oil in it, like peanut butter, butter, shampoo, and detergent. Palm oil makes these products smooth, spreadable, and foamy, and it's cheap to produce. But making palm oil leads to cutting down rainforests, which are important for animals, plants, and fighting climate change. Animals like orangutans lose their homes because of palm oil plantations. So even though palm oil makes things nice, it harms the environment and animals.
Intensive. I'll bet they won't have... Wow, they have it!
Creamy peanut butter.
To make things worse, the peanut butter consumption in America is the highest in the world. And most American companies have the backing of the FDA to use palm oil in place of partially hydrogenated vegetable fats for other products as well. As a result, countries like Malaysia, Italy, France, and Belgium would rather not destroy the environment than eat Nutella. Apples. You may have heard the famous saying that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, it may be true for other countries, but not America. On the contrary, eating apples may land you more visits to the doctor. And the USA is aware of this. After picking apples, farmers and packers put a chemical called diphenylamine, or DPA, on them. This helps stop the skin from turning black or brown when the apples are stored in cold places for a long time. They've been using DPA since 1962 in the US. In 2010, tests by US Department of Agriculture scientists found DPA on 80% of the apples they tested. Not just the apples themselves. It's found in apple juice and apple sauce, and sometimes in pears and pear baby food. The long-term effect is that it could cause cancer.
That's not how you spell apples in America.
As a result of this test by the European Union, apples from the US were banned from entering the European Union countries till date.
The apple. What?
So, which of these banned foods did you like best before now? And would you stop eating them? Tell us in the comments.
I actually don't eat most of those, with the exception of some meat. Okay. Now that we've shut on America, it's about time that we talk about American foods that are banned in the U.S.
Americans love
Oh, well, then, yeah, that person really can't spell anything.
food. And in the U.S., you can buy anything imaginable at restaurants, farms, markets, and other stores. Well, almost anything. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned many foods from being sold or eaten in the United States for various reasons. So, today, we're going to take a look at some foreign foods that are not allowed in the USA. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. After that, please leave a comment and let us know what other funky food topics you would like to hear about. Now, let's take an illicit trip on the wild side of food.
Oh, no.
Scotland is known for a number of wonderful things, like Scotch whiskey, bagpipes, and Sean Connery. But it's also known for eating haggis.
Haggis? What is haggis?
Haggis, for those who don't know, is a type of pudding composed of the liver, heart, and lungs of a sheep, mixed with beef and oatmeal, then seasoned with onions, cayenne peppers, and other spices. This mixture is then packed into a sheep's stomach and boiled.
How revolting!
This might not sound appetizing to everyone, but Scottish people are really into it. In fact, haggis is the national dish of Scotland, and if you get it
I've heard a lot of people say good things about haggis, actually.
there, it's usually accompanied by turnips and mashed potatoes. Americans who like haggis, however, are out of luck, because haggis is currently banned from being imported into the United States. The U.S. banned all foods that are made from animal lungs in 1971. Since then, Scotland has made several efforts to influence the U.S. into lifting the ban on haggis and changing federal food safety regulations, but they've come up short each time. Too bad Sean Connery isn't around to ask them. Sometimes the U.S. bans foods for health concerns about the dish itself, but there are other reasons John Q. Law might stop you from enjoying a particular meal. For example, to protect an endangered species. Such is the case with beluga caviar. Caviar is, of course, fish eggs. Beluga caviar comes from the beluga
Yes, the most
sturgeon,
appealing
which is
thing,
the
literally
largest
watching them lay the eggs. Where it doesn't look like eggs, it looks like...
the sturgeons, weighing more than 2,000 pounds and measuring more than 15 feet long. It can take up to 25 years for the female beluga to mature and produce eggs. Beluga caviar varies in color from light to dark gray and is the largest grain caviar. Their pearls are the most delicate and have a mild, buttery flavor. In 2005, however, the United States banned beluga caviar from further import due to overfishing. The U.S. was consuming about 60% of the world's beluga caviar, which is considered the Rolls-Royce of caviar due to costing $200 per ounce. In fact, beluga caviar was so desirable that the available stock declined by 90%. Overfishing of the beluga can mostly be traced back to poaching in the black market, but that's just academic now. The bottom line is, no beluga caviar for Americans anymore. So as we've seen, the U.S. might ban a food for being unsafe, or because it derives from a species at risk. But there's yet another reason a food might be banned: trading concerns. Take the Mirabelle plum, which is the small, oval-shaped and dark yellow fruit grown on the Mirabelle plum tree. It's sweet and full of flavor, and is used in fruit preserves and dessert pies. The fruit can mostly be found in France, where 70% of the world's Mirabelle production occurs. The production of the Mirabelle plum has been supported since 1996 by a protected geographical indication to help guarantee its authenticity. The protected origin designation makes it illegal to import or commercially sell the plums in the U.S.
These don't look
That
real?
being said, regular folks can grow them on their own property, as long as you don't try to sell them. Unpasteurized milk, or raw milk, is milk...
Wait, so... I mean... That... Wait. I don't understand why it's banned from being traded here. You can eat them, just not resell them. Or I guess that's because Americans like to label things. A lot of people like to label stuff like that. It's like, oh, we're selling Mirabelle plums. I guess that's why.
That comes directly from an animal's udder and hasn't been heat treated or pasteurized to kill any bacteria. Sounds great, right?
Oh, indeed it does.
Well, it may not be. Raw milk carries a higher risk of being contaminated with harmful bacteria that causes foodborne illnesses than pasteurized milk does. Children, in particular, are at a higher risk for these diseases because their immune systems have not yet fully developed.
Also, being an American and going to Europe and trying stuff made from unpasteurized milk can annihilate you. Like, you have no idea. A lot of this, most of the stuff that's added to foods here is to make sure that our immune system is protected. But that means for certain things here, it will just... I went to Europe once and I enjoyed some of the tastiest, like, you know, stuff like dairy products I could have had. That same day I tried that, my first thing, my body did not handle it well. Oh God. It was an eruption. I will go no further into detail, whether it was from one or both ends. Or not, I was twirling around trying to figure out which end I need to keep in there. Like, my uncle had this really adorable, like, kitten mat in the bathroom, and I ruined it because of that. I felt so bad. It was an adorable thing with 3 little kittens on it, and I was just like, the pattern. I did not do it on a cat, just the pattern. Really cute, and then I was just like, It was so embarrassing. However, I was really young at the time, or well, you know. I think if I was a teenager at the time, it was like the youngest you can be considered a teenager. So I was like, wow! And I was like, oh no!
The FDA banned the interstate sale or distribution of raw milk in the U.S., but states are able to adopt their own laws for the sale of raw milk. Given the risk, you might think that states would want to stop people from drinking the stuff, but not so much. In fact, drinking and consuming unpasteurized milk is 100% legal in all 50 states. That being said, only 13 states allow the sale of raw milk in retail stores. Of the other 37, 20 states prohibit the sale of raw milk, and 17 states allow the sale of raw milk on the farm in which it was produced. And at the very least, many of the states that allow the selling of raw milk require a warning label informing consumers about the risk of pathogens that can be found in the milk. There is currently something of a movement in the United States to consume organic and locally grown foods. Some believe that raw milk is more nutritious and provides good bacteria for the body.
Raw milk provides nutrients and stuff that, like as I said, that they say that pasteurized milk does not have. Through the pasteurization process, it makes it so that certain beneficial vitamins and nutrients are killed. But at the same time, there are certain harmful ones which are absolutely destroyed. And at the same time, shelf life is greatly expanded. Our milk can last pasteurized milk can last on the shelf far longer. And by shelf, I mean in the refrigerator, not just leaving it out. Because, you know, with the amount of preservatives we talk about putting into American food, sometimes people think you can just leave milk out all day. At least you don't put it in a bag like you weirdos in Canada. I'm just kidding. You're not weird, Canadians. However, the whole bagged milk thing is kind of weird. And actually, I might as well show it. Milk in a bag. Canadian bag milk. You might have thought I was making a joke, but no. No. They got bagged milk. Milk in a bag. But yeah. There's a horror game called Milk in a Bag of Milk.
Sassafras oil is extracted from the dried root bark of the sassafras tree. The tree, in case you want to go looking for one, stands anywhere from 20 to 40 feet tall, with slender branches and orange and brown colored bark. The leaves are oval and can grow to 3 to 7 inches long, and the flowers are small and of a green.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't know. I'll show it to you. Milk in a bag. Sorry, bag. Milk inside. Is that the? There it is. Milk inside of a bag of milk inside of a bag of milk, and it is overwhelmingly positive. It's also only $1.49. It's supposed to be a very good horror game, from what I've heard. And it's cheap. It is a... Oh. I thought it was older than that. It's from 2020. But yeah, and it's current, and the... Oh, no, that's... And it's in a part of a bundle. Let's see. It's with My Name Is You. It's also... Which is a, psychological game. Little Monsters of Little Heaven, which is also a very positively rated game. Lighthouse Keeper, which is another horror game. And Chastity, which is mixed, which I'm not sure about. Lighthouse Keeper, if it's the game I'm thinking of, was pretty well liked. But either way, you get it for a bundle which is on sale for 30% off, and it's $2. Well, you save $2.50 or 25 cents, sorry, and it's a $5.20 total. I saw Incest Game. Oh boy. But as I said, this game here, the milk inside of a bag of milk inside of a bag of milk, is supposed to be a good one. I haven't played it, but I've heard a few people say that it's good. God, those fingers for saying there look like a weird plant.
Or yellow color. Historically speaking, sassafras has played a big role in various cultures around the world. For example, many Native American tribes use it for various medicinal purposes, including to help with acne, urinary disorders, and fevers. It can also be found in Chinese medications to help treat rheumatism and trauma. The twigs from the plant were once used as toothbrushes, and sassafras was also used as an early anesthetic and disinfectant. Not only that, but sassafras was found in many distinct foods in the U.S., and it was known as a key ingredient in many root beers and teas. Sounds pretty useful, right? Well, don't start celebrating just yet. The FDA prohibits all sassafras bark, oil, and saffrole as flavorings or food additives. Sassafras is no longer considered safe for human consumption. It was actually banned all the way back in 1979 after research linked it to cancer. Also, when too much sassafras oil is consumed, poisoning can possibly occur. The ortolan is...
Ah! Oh! Oh. Do you know about the ortolan? And why people don't allow it, person? You don't like animal suffering, so I'm going to skip this, I think.
crime.
Do you really want me to show you the other one? This is the one I told you about. This cheese, the casu marzu, which is the maggot cheese. I don't know. It's a French thing with the bird where you. It's considered a dish so tasty. The ortolan is. The way you eat the ortolan is considered to be so tasty that it is a sin against God. You're supposed to wear a towel over your head while you eat it, and then I believe that you basically drown the bird. I don't know. I don't want to cover it. It is not something that you, as somebody who likes animals, would want to hear.
Kazu Marzu, translated in...
I don't mind traumatizing you with this maggot cheese. No, I'm skipping that one as well. Yeah, no. It's one thing to, see. It's one thing for me to describe something. It's another thing to see the pictures. And actually, I don't know if I want to show you the fin, too. Shark fins are harvested in a very cruel way. Like, even for people who don't like sharks, I'm pretty sure it would be a very sort of disturbing way. But needless to say, the ortolan, the casu marzu just might be weird for you. But, basically, as you can imagine, sharks can be pretty big, and people don't really eat the rest of the meat of a shark. So fishermen just take the shark, cut off the fins, and then throw the poor thing back into the water. Which, they need their fins to swim. And this is, once again, something that's bad, that's caused by Chinese medicine and the Chinese medicine food. Because emperors used to eat shark fins because biggest sea predator means that I gain powers of big sea predator. Tastes like shit. I've tried it. It was disgusting. And at the time, I didn't know about how horrible the methods of which it is harvested is done. But it is just terrible. Out of the entire shark, the fins are basically the part that has the least nutrition, the least actual meat, and all that other stuff. As I said, it's just done because ancient royalty ate it. And then modern Chinese people want to say that they ate the stuff that ancient emperors ate. If the ancient emperors ate shit, they would basically go, oh, it's found out that the wise emperor ate shit. Ooh, my. Ooh, tasty. Oh, wait, no. I'm going to skip shark fins.
Ackee appears to be a very delightful and delicious fruit, but
Look at the alien eyes staring at you. This eldritch horror of a fruit.
appearances can be deceiving. For if the ackee isn't properly eaten, it can cause vomiting or even lead to a coma or death. To do it right, you need to know that the ackee's fruit's protective pod turns red and naturally opens, revealing the edible portion, which is the many yellow aril that surround the toxic black seeds. The ackee fruit is originally native to West Africa, but was brought to Jamaica in 1778. In Jamaica, the harmful effects of ackee fruit are known as Jamaican vomiting sickness, and they're comfortable enough with it to have made it Jamaica's national fruit. The fruit can be tried in Jamaica paired with codfish, which is a popular dish. In the US, however, the FDA banned all ackee, though they later allowed the sale of frozen or canned ackee. The import of fresh ackee is still banned.
Oh. Like, funny weird or creepy weird? Because you need to be careful. Because if it's creepy weird, you might want to try reporting people. They're all from you, all from you, fool, you weirdo. And it's just like, oh, next thing I know, I get swatted. You said inappropriate things to them. Like, I didn't say anything at all. Your very existence is inappropriate. Oh, well, I guess I can't argue that. But I bet you didn't expect this. Kinder Surprise chocolate eggs.
The Kinder Surprise egg is a hollow chocolate egg that holds a plastic capsule that contains a toy. The toy is usually a simple collectible, like a tiny bike or miniature beach bucket and pail. They are widely popular and are sold across the world, except in the United States. Not that it's hurting.
Correction. They do sell a special kind of Kinder Surprise in the United States. However, it doesn't have that egg. When I was a child, my French family would smuggle some stuff to me. And I'd get to try some of them.
In fact, even without the help from U.S. markets, Kinder sells more than 3.5 billion surprise eggs each year. Kinder Surprise eggs have always been illegal in the United States. The 1938 regulation made it illegal to sell any candy that contains a non-nutritive object. Several efforts have been made to import the chocolate egg into the U.S., but the federal government has continued its ban and recalled the item each time. Luckily for U.S. consumers, Kinder also makes the Joy Egg, which is a more recent version that separates the toy from the chocolate in two sealed halves. The Joy Egg meets FDA regulations and is compliant with the Consumer Product Safety Commission. It's not exactly the same as the Kinder Surprise, but it's close enough so the fans across the U.S. can get their fix. So what do you think? What banned food sounds good to you? Let us know in the comments below, and while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from...
I'm trying to think about which is the video where I learned that Iron Brew has a chemical additive in it that the U.S. does not like. But yes, so we've got hot dogs, which some of them are actually very different, but usually it's just the topping is different. And then we've got, oh, barbecue style. Barbecue styles are not very... The difference in barbecue style is just appearances. I'm surprised that I'm getting chicken nugget recommendations, or rather the chicken nugget lore. And then I've got every regional style of hamburger. What? Hey, dog. I haven't watched Chicken Nugget recently. Person, are you having a stroke? Oh my. And then also like food brands have been loaned. Oh. Is it from someone you know, or just, well, no, I'm not gonna ask you, like, where... Yes, person, tell me exactly who. Tell me everything. I'm just wondering... You said you got some weird messages. I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, you're not getting somebody who's, like, trying to threaten you, or, you know... I can't... When you send me a message in chat and say, I'm getting weird messages, I can't tell if this is like, oh, man, these are such weird messages, or... Oh, my God. I'm getting some really weird messages, and I don't know what to do about it. It's like, I can't tell. It's sort of like, you know, how when some people say no means no, but there's certain ways, it depends on how you say it. If you go like, no, stop it. I don't want this. Oh my God. It's just like, you know, that person's really saying yes, but they want to make you work for it. On the other hand, if you rate it from a list, but someone's like, no, stop it, I don't want it. That's so bad. It's like, that's not how they said it. I'm sorry if I weirded you out from my weird ASMR. So, what interests you? Hot dogs? You want the sausages or the burger? Burger. Oh, no, that's just... Hot dog. Oh my.
As American as apple
So you're looking for a nice sausage, I see.
pie. But unlike...
I'm sorry. I apologize. I have made repeated and multiple mistakes, and I have to apologize for that.
apple pie, hot dogs are as American as apple pie. But
So not... Oh, no, exactly, because apple pie was not made in America. But yeah.
like apple pie, hot dogs in the U.S. can range from being as plain as a steaming wiener on a bun to one that features all the glories of bacon, beans, onions, salsa, and cheese. Today on Weird History Food, we're covering the most distinctive dogs in the United States. But before we chop onions and squirt the mustard, be sure to...
That kid looking like saying, I'm gonna bite your dick off, oh my God. And then just like that guy's like, nah, Why does it look like they're going to, like, everyone's going to, like, in this picture is going to, like, I'm going to eat you.
in the United States. But before we chop onions and squirt the mustard, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. Then leave a comment and tell us what other popular food styles you would like to know more about. Okay, grab some mustard and onion and settle in for this mouth-watering tour of Dogtown, USA. New Yorkers love their dirty water dogs.
The
and look for
basic
the
bitch
signature
of hot
Soubrette
dogs.
blue and yellow awnings throughout the city. Like many dogs, these are known for their all-beef meat and natural casings. What makes the New York wieners unique, though, is that they're boiled in vats of spiced water. The casual onlooker, the vats may appear to be swimming with dirt and stank, hence the name. In reality, the water is seasoned with spices and aromatics like red pepper, onion, nutmeg, cumin, and vinegar. While some connoisseurs declare ketchup verboten on a dog, these vendors sometimes add it and/or tomato sauce to the simmering wiener bath. Vendors serve the franks on doughy buns, which soak up the flavor. Toppings include ketchup,
A fictional character's drink order? What? I do not know, person. Only you can tell me that.
mustard, sauerkraut, and tomato onion dressing found only in New York City.
Wait, are you saying hot dogs is someone's weird drink order? It's like, yes, I drink a blended hot dog bun and ketchup and mustard. Yes, with onions. Into a smoothie. I get an extra big straw. I'm sure somebody's done that, but oh god, no.
Coney dogs hail from New York's Coney Island.
Oh my god, chili on a hot dog?
Immigrants coming through Ellis Island who encountered Coney Island hot dogs put their own unique spin on the recipe as they settled throughout the country. Take, for example, William Bill and Konstantin Gust Keros, who migrated to America from Greece and enjoyed Nathan Handwerker's famous Franks on Coney Island before making their way to Detroit. The duo opened American Coney Island in Detroit in 1919.
And then they had a falling out and opened a store directly next to the other one, at which they are both still around.
Paying homage to the food that inspired their restaurant and technically claiming rights to the first Coney dog. To give their product a distinctive flavor, the brothers topped the dogs with Greek meat sauce, a beanless chili that became a standard garnish. Bill and Gust started their business together, but a feud split the restaurant in two. Stories differ on how and when the feud began, but the disagreement ended up creating a fiery Frankfurter competition. Side-by-side restaurants.
So yeah, literally, as I said, the restaurant split in half. There's Lafayette, Coney Island, and All American on the other side. You thought I was kidding.
Exist in Detroit.
But yeah, literally.
To this day.
The hot, how would you like a hot Texas wiener from Jersey?
The hot Texas wiener doesn't hail from the Lone Star State, but rather from Paterson, New Jersey, E before I being the preferred wiener spelling in these parts. It's been around since 1924, when someone known only as an old Greek gentleman opened a hot dog counter in downtown Paterson, apparently to test versions of his spaghetti sauce as a hot dog topping. He eventually found the ideal combination of ingredients, cementing the recipe's local stature. But no one recalls who the gent was or why he chose to name his specialty after another state. Maybe in the Paterson of 1924, Texas sounded spicy and exotic, almost like a whole other country. The dish consists of an all-beef frank, blanched briefly in hot oil before finishing in another vat. Cooks then lay the wiener on a bun and top it, in strict order, with spicy mustard, chopped onions, ground beef chili sauce, tomatoes, more onions, and a secret spice blend.
Chili is a very popular topping on hot dogs.
In a
Chicago
city of
style.
divisions, North Side, South Side, Cubs versus Sox, craft beer versus old style. There is a broad agreement on one thing. Chicago-style hot dogs feature a Vienna beef wiener on a poppy seed bun. Vendors follow a strict layering order when it comes to toppings, dressing the dogs with mustard, followed by a neon green relish, chopped raw onion, sport peppers, sliced tomatoes, a pickle spear, and celery salt. Chicagoans never put ketchup on their dogs. Do not ask. You will be mocked.
Nobody, I mean nobody, puts ketchup on a hot dog.
So for lunch in the Windy City, you and your chum can celebrate friendship and camaraderie over a couple of ketchup-free dogs. But at dinner time, the ceasefire ends with a beat.
You know, it's kind of funny. I don't like a lot of the ingredients that go on the Chicago dog, but I love them all together on it. I actually really liked it when I tried it.
Deep dish or tavern-style pizza? No one knows the origin of the term half in Washington, D.C.'s famed half-smoked hot dogs. Some claim it stems from the sausage's half-beef, half-pork composition. Others believe it's because cooks traditionally slit the wieners down the middle before grilling. To half and half not. Divisions over the origin of the DC dog's name aside, locals and experts agree it's more than just a regular chili dog. DC Franks are spicier and smokier, more flavorful than a run-of-the-mill dog.
They're also a bit thicker. Girthy.
Also find their way into a splendid breakfast sandwich, the half-smoke egg and cheese, served by Weenie Beanie since 1954. The half-smoke has become a staple at Ben's Chili Bowl, which propelled
You like that Weenie Beanie?
the dish to
I
international.
don't want to look that up online. I'm worried about the results that might come back in images.
acclaim. Celebrity diners like Dave Chappelle and the late Anthony Bourdain loved the distinctly DC dish, accelerating its popularity.
Ah, the Polish boy.
Clevelanders take pride in their Polish boy hot dogs, considering them a hometown delicacy. Kielbasa, coleslaw fries, and barbecue sauce on a tasty bun.
What is this?
From there, restaurants around CLE add their flourishes, making the Polish boy a truly unique experience. Looking to try the original? Visit Banter's Polish Boys, where they serve house-made barbecue sauce on a traditional Ohio kielbasa. Setti's Polish Boys have been featured by...
Yeah, I told you already. I like eating Dutch babies and I like Polish boys. What's wrong with that? Don't judge me.
Food Network stars and appeared on the list of Michael Simon's Best Things I Ever Ate. And if a single Polish doesn't satisfy, some restaurants serve their boys with a side of
I like having multiple Polish boys. Yes, indeed.
chicken wings, beef brisket, or chopped pork. Now, if only they could fit all that on a dog.
What? Oh, okay. For a second there, I thought... I'm sorry. I thought that was like one piece of bread with two hot dogs in it. And I was like, oh, what the hell? It's like, no, those are two distinct hot dogs. Okay.
The hot dogs, served at home barbecues and on camping trips.
Oh, are you squeaking because of Polish boys? Well, I say the more the merrier, am I right? Yes. You can never have too many Polish boys, yes indeed. Well,
in Maine are crimson, like alarmingly so.
Yeah, like
known
that.
as red snappers, the
They're
beef and pork
almost
franks
pink.
are dyed red before going into a natural casing that delivers a signature snap when bitten. So yeah, just to clarify,
doesn't
they
look
are
real.
supposed to look like that. Instead of nestling into a typical side split bun, red snappers are served in top-loaded buns, like New England lobster rolls. The flat-bottom design allows red
it
snappers
looks like they've raised the saturation.
to stand up more easily, and the buns are...
Yes, we all want our wieners to stand at attention, indeed. What? Oh. Oh, yeah.
great for buttering
Indeed.
and toasting. Traditionally, snappers are best served with potato salad, French fries, or New England's Humpty Dumpty chips. Cincinnati's signature hot dog stands out due to its topping of distinctive Skyline chili. Immigrant Nicholas Labrinidis brought the recipe to the U.S. from his hometown of Castoria, Greece. Named after Labrinidis' Skyline restaurant, the chili's ingredients include Worcestershire sauce, cumin, paprika, vinegar, cloves, and
Yeah, I was like, like shit, baby shit, like what? You have to forget. You can't forget I'm partially dyslexic. Or I'm somewhat dyslexic. I misread things.
secret ingredient that lends a sweet tang. The Labrinidis family keeps mum, but many speculate the ingredient is cinnamon, allspice, or nutmeg. Come on, Labrinidis family. We know we're close. Some Cincinnati dog lovers used to think the recipe included cocoa powder. But Skyline shot down that theory by declaring that people allergic to chocolate needn't worry about having a reaction. Not everyone in Cincinnati embraces their city's version of the dish, and some question whether the topping is even chili at all. Hopefully, these naysayers find solace in the Skyline dog's other garnishes, mounds of shredded cheese and diced onions.
I mean, clearly they go light on the cheese, as you can see.
Southern Arizona is known for its Sonoran hot dogs, a riotous hybrid of Mexican and American flavors that the locals love, comprising bacon-wrapped sausage nestled inside a bolillo-style bun. The dogs are griddled on a flat top, allowing the fat to crisp and seal the bacon to the link, then smothered with pinto beans, tomatoes, green salsa, grilled and raw onions, mushrooms, guacamole, and shredded cheese. The dish was popularized by ravenous college students. Yeah, it sounds like a hangover tonic.
Yeah.
It became so sought after that in one 2015 survey, More than 200 vendors had the dog on their menu in Tucson alone.
I mean, I think it looks good. It looks like a lot.
This iconic sausage is said to have originated in the early 1930s, when Tony Paco, the Hungarian-American owner of a sandwich and ice cream shop in Toledo, Ohio, took a thick Hungarian sausage called a kolbász and sliced it in half lengthwise. The result was similar in size to a standard wiener. Paco served the dog on a sausage roll topped with his spicy chili sauce and put it on the menu for a nickel. The creation was a hit and helped Tony and his wife Rose open the original Tony Paco's restaurant in 1935. The Paco profile grew more prominent over the years. In 1972, actor Burt Reynolds stopped for dinner and famously autographed a hot dog bun, starting a tradition that blossomed into Tony Paco's wall of autographed hot dog buns, with signatures from Jimmy Carter to George Carlin. The show MASH also helped Paco's popularity with Corporal Klinger, played by native Toledoan Jamie Farr, who would mention Tony Paco's in seemingly every episode. Today, at any of several Toledo area locations, you can get a Paco's original topped with mustard, onions, and famous sauce for $4. Shredded cheese extra.
Famous sauce, of course, being chili. Oh, yes, I want to hear about your hot wiener, Rhode Island.
Rhode Islanders are proud of their hot wiener.
I'm sorry to anyone watching this. This is going to be full of this video. This video is going to be full of this type of talk, if you haven't already realized it by this point.
And honestly, who in their right mind wouldn't say the same thing? They consider it as much a culinary staple as cheesesteaks are to Philly. Weenie joint owners across the state agree that the dish originated at the original New York System Eatery at 424 Smith Street in Providence. While many other hot dogs contain a mixture of processed ingredients, hot wieners contain only beef, pork, veal, spices, and a single preservative. Homestead Baking Company of East Providence almost single-handedly supplies buns to all Rhode Island. No matter where Link lovers go in the Ocean State, ordering a hot wiener all the way always includes a steamed bun, signature frank, mustard, meat sauce, celery salt, and onions. While Alaska's reindeer dogs are trendy, they're not solely composed of the meat of a particular hooved mammal that may or may not pull Santa's sleigh, although we can't totally rule it out. Along with meat from the caribou, the North American term for wild reindeer, these franks also contain pork and beef. Local eateries serve them with Coca-Cola deglazed onions, cream cheese, and mustard. Sometimes patrons add ketchup and relish. Although native to Alaska, the reindeer links are so beloved that versions can be found in other cities, including Denver and Portland. Despite its name, the Texas Tommy was invented in Pottstown, Pennsylvania in the 1940s. Apparently another Lone Star wannabe. The dog is grilled over medium heat and contains a slice of bacon, pepper jack cheese, and peppers inside a toasted or warmed bun. Additional acceptable condiments include ketchup and mustard, and adventure seekers can even get a hitched version, which features macaroni poured on top. Because the best dogs do sound like a dare.
Oh, the Italian. That's the one.
The Italian hot dog. Served
Behold.
on thick pieces of pizza dough bread. And
as you can tell, this one's only slightly different than all the others that have come before, right? It's in pizza dough bread. Yeah.
Of a traditional bun has its roots in Newark, New Jersey.
I mean, I can
Italian
even see the
hot
difference.
Dogs are all beef, made with a natural casing and served with cooked peppers, onions, and fried potatoes. Cooks cut the pizza bread into quarters, making the dish more like a sandwich than a regular hot dog. Then they stuff the bread with one or two sausages along with veggies. Although traditionally used sparingly, mustard, red sauce, or even ketchup qualify as condiments. Foodies can find the Italian dog all over Newark. But according to a local who has eaten the dish for more than 60 years, there are only 3 spots where a connoisseur can find authentic versions: Dickie D's, Jimmy Buff's, and Tommy's Italian Sausage and Hot Dogs.
Dickie D's nuts. Okay. But sometimes they also have Italian sausage inside in addition to the hot dog. And these are puka dogs. You might be wondering, like, why don't you see the cut in it? Well, that's because the dogs are a bit interesting.
It's possible to find delicious meat in tube form, as Anthony Bourdain used to describe it, all over the Hawaiian Islands. One example, the distinctive puka dog, typically includes a skinless Polish sausage or vegetarian link covered in a secret lemon garlic sauce. Instead of a traditional bun, puka dogs are inserted into a bun.
Yeah, you just shove that wiener right in the hole. Yep. Yeah, meat in tube form, and you just shove it into your little dough hole. Yeah. You see that? And the cream comes out. And, ooh, saucy.
Unsized bread loaf with a hole in one end. Cooks use special pronged toasters to crisp up the inside of the bread so that the outside remains fluffy and fresh. If hot dog lovers want toppings beyond the lemon garlic sauce, they can sample the signature Hawaiian mustard or fruity and/or spicy relishes. Bourdain himself visited the puka dog location in the Waikiki International Marketplace in the No Reservations Hawaii episode.
And now the Rippers.
New Jersey claims more than a half dozen original hot dogs, but the Ripper is one of the most unusual.
I think I'm fruity enough as it is.
Royal and Anna Rutt invented the dog for the roadside venue Rutt's Hut shortly after it opened in 1928. The hot dogs fry in hot oil until their natural casings burst.
I've made
the
enough innuendo. I'm going to wait a little bit.
Inside, creating unique crispness that permeates the entire sausage. We're generally a fan of any food you can just deep fry until it explodes.
Oh, he's not even talking about... Though, there are several different levels of the Rippers. There's like the barely fried one, which looks like a regular hot dog. There's a slight rip. I forgot what the other ones are, until the very final one, which is referred to as a cremator. All right, let's see. All right. Ah, yeah, Rutt's Hut Ripper. Like, I believe that dark one is a cremator. Home of the Ripper. No. Let's see. Gallery. Can I find the menus? Oh, famous hot dogs. The downstairs bar and dining room will open until 8 p.m. Well, okay, I'm not. Okay, 1 second. Let me sign it. How do you spell cremator? Ripper versus the cremator. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. The cremator is like they just keep cooking it until it just completely explodes. What? Oh, yes. Indeed. And they even have Rutt in the name, too. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, basically it's just a super deep fried hot dog where everything's crispy. Now, where was I? I guess. There we go. The Danger
Street dogs are
Dog.
among the most popular vendor foods in Los Angeles. Patrons love visiting the carts to grab a bacon-wrapped frank after a night of clubbing, although cops and health officials aren't nearly as enamored of the food carts.
You know, it's too bad there's screwballs like that loose on the streets.
Nicknamed danger dogs or dirty dogs, these links are sometimes sold by unlicensed vendors who leave the uncooked bacon out for hours in the SoCal sun, bacon that is then wrapped around wieners and griddled. The dogs are served with toppings like caramelized onions. Despite the risk of food poisoning, danger dogs remain an LA staple. In addition to caramelized onions, patrons can add grilled bell peppers and jalapenos to their bacon-spiraled street meat. Call the origin of the corn dog.
I mean, how could it possibly be bad with all this sausage flopping around in my face? I mean, I love wieners of all shapes and sizes. I mean...
A meat in a tube form mystery. Dipped in cornmeal batter and deep fried, the hot dog on a stick is a staple of state fairs and carnivals nationwide. It's been around for less than 100 years, but the greasy, convenient wiener with a handle tastes so good that everyone wants credit for it. Did it originate at the Texas State Fair in the late 1930s or early 1940s? At the Pronto Pup Fountain Shop in Portland, Oregon in 1941? The Cozy Dog Drive-In in Springfield, Missouri in 1946? The list of corn dog claimants is long, but one undisputed fact is that a single bite of this corn-robed fella, dripping with ketchup and or mustard, will take you back to your first state fair. Hopefully you
what the hell are you doing?
carnies or clowns. The state of New York is home to a 3-restaurant Hudson Valley chain, Hot Dog Charlie's, which serves 3-inch mini hot dogs. The chain also creates its own miniature buns, making the large windowed diners a local
Don't
novelty.
call it small
The
just because
trademark
it's
topping
3
is
inches.
chili, but you can also
You're gonna
get
hurt my
onions,
feelings.
relish,
Okay,
ketchup,
I'm
mustard,
just
or sauerkraut. The chain also serves hamburgers, clam rolls, fried fish, and French fries covered in melted cheese
Should be
and
calling
topped
them
with
giant
bacon,
hot dogs.
all of which are in non-miniature form.
I was thinking about saying that or going like, what? America making something that's not supersized? Yes, they're perfectly filling enough. You don't need to say anything about that. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Oh my. Coleslaw. How
Carolina dogs
extravagant.
feature a sausage unique to the region. While they don't taste much different from standard hot dogs, their distinctive color sets them apart.
Yes.
Produced by Brightleaf, a North Carolina-based food brand, the pork and beef wieners are electric pink due to a secret blend of seasonings.
Just like a certain other place in a certain other state.
The most popular way to serve a dog in the Carolinas is with a load of creamy coleslaw. The slaw sits atop a spicy beef chili, helping balance the heat as it adds flavor. Carolinians usually finish their dogs with a drizzle of mustard. Hot dog enthusiasts don't have to travel to the Carolinas for the experience, however. Pink dogs from Brightleaf can be ordered for delivery nationwide. Dinglewood Pharmacy in Columbus, Georgia, turns its quirky scrambled dog concoction into a local favorite. Since 1918, the diner has served chopped wieners, chili, pickles, oyster crackers, and cheese scrambled together on a hot dog bun in a dish. Popular toppings include white onions, yellow mustard, jalapenos, and sour cream. The pup isn't just popular among Columbus natives. It also had the top spot on a Major League Baseball list of best hot dogs by region. It was a favorite of President Jimmy Carter, and it's been...
Is that like... I'm sorry, was that like a hot dog? Is it actually considered as a hot dog? Because it's like, I mean, yes, it has all the components, but I mean, you've slathered it in sauce and you need to use a fork or spoon to eat it. That's... I'm not arguing that it probably tastes good, because it probably tastes amazing. But, I mean... I don't know. It's sort of like if you turn a milkshake into something you eat with a fork, is it still a milkshake? Even if it's delicious tasting, but is it? Like, would that be more like a cake? No. It's definitely not a salad. But it is basically just chili with a piece of bread and stuff in it. Not, as I said, not arguing that it probably tastes good. I'd probably eat like 10 of them, but you know, that's beside the point, because, you know... Oh my. I'll eat the wieners. I don't mind if they've been chopped up. Oh my. Gone in a completely different direction now. The bodies are there, sir. You'll never find them.
Been served at weddings and formal events in Saudi Arabia.
What? I am sorry. I was not expecting that. Wait, wait, what? I'm sorry.
The best hot dogs by region. It was a favorite of President Jimmy Carter, and it's been served at weddings and formal events in Saudi Arabia and Florence, Italy. See hot dogs are perfect for any occasion.
What the fuck? Why? So, I am flabbergasted.
The no jacket required of food.
Bagel dogs.
The city credits former Seattle native and bagel vendor Hadley Long for popularizing this distinct.
My God, it's like you look at the picture and like, there's the murderer. We always knew he was kind of crazy, just like. Oh my God, man. This is, of all the pictures you could have shown of this guy, this is the one you chose. I would be mad.
Distinctive version of a hot dog, one with a slather of cream cheese.
Hold on to my wiener there.
Sir Frank's along with his specialty, bagel sticks, which were bagels or bialys shaped roughly like hot dog buns, with a spread of cream cheese, so he eventually obliged. He started serving bagel dogs topped with cream cheese, grilled onions, and jalapenos outside bars and clubs in the evenings. They became a hit, and patrons swarmed the stand for what had become one of the city's top 10 things to do. Soon after, carts across Seattle began selling the local specialty, many substituting standard buns for the bagel sticks.
It wasn't a wiener at all. It was a penis. Have you seen that animation? Okay, you know, just for the sake of people who might watch this later, I guess I'll show that short animation, because otherwise I'm wondering if they'll just go like, man, that guy's just a real pervert. Let's see. Yeah, okay, well, yeah.
Alexander Hamilton, why are there so many perverts in your mansion?
What do you mean? Like just my guests?
They're in the walls. They look through the eye holes and they stick things through the holes.
They peeked at us while we were sleeping and changing our clothes.
Yeah, under the floorboards, they took the door off, they looked at us while we were changing.
They tell us they've got sausage for us, but it's not really sausage.
I took a bite of one and it wasn't sausage at all.
What was it?
It was a penis.
I hope you spit it out.
No. Well, I mean, eventually, but somebody's walking around with a bloody penis. Who's it gonna be?
This is so dumb.
There's no other way to say this.
It was a penis. I hate this.
Alexander Hamilton.
I don't know what I closed. And I'll never see it again.
Fish cakes on hot dogs have a long history in Philadelphia, though these days it's a bit of a throwback. John Dans, owner of the city's most popular fish dog combo spot, reports that mainly old-timers and some adventurous younger folk order the dish. The tradition of topping dogs with fish cakes, a cod potato blend, began in 1895 and evolved over the years as local eateries added their spin. The most typical additional topping is pepper hash, made from cabbage, chopped red bell peppers, and apple cider vinegar. Onions and brown mustard also usually make an appearance.
No comment on your fish dog? It's a hot dog coated with potatoes and fish. Oh my.
Hot dog lovers can get an authentic Reuben dog, a spin-off from a classic Reuben sandwich, only in Kansas City. Originally created for Kauffman Stadium, home of the Kansas City Royals in Missouri, Reuben dogs can also be found in the city of the same name across the state line in Kansas. As its name suggests, a Reuben dog boasts corned beef, sauerkraut, melted cheese, caraway seeds, and a load of Thousand Island dressing.
Oh
So
my,
what do you
so
think?
creamy.
Which of these dogs is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And while
So, person, which dog was your favorite? Or were none of them? It's like, I don't like all. Oh, so you like the fish dog, I see. Oh, I only remember the thing I was going to show you next. Like, let's see. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Where is it? I'm trying to find the video, which is basically there is food, which is actually like people say it's American, but it's not. Oh, yeah, Faux Americans. Okay, yeah. Faux American food.
Hello friends, my name is JJ. So let me show you a photo that one of my European friends sent me the other day. It's of the American food section of his local supermarket. I forget what country, but I've been to Europe enough times to know that sections like this are common all over the continent.
1 second, I'll be right back.
Even though the resolution isn't that great, if you're from America, I'm sure you can make out a few products. We got Goldfish, Airheads, Pop-Tarts, A1 sauce, gluten-free hazelnut coffee mate. Now the question would be whether this is actually an accurate portrayal of American food or simply a heavily exoticized one. Exoticism is a term used to describe the tendency of thinking of foreign cultures only in terms of how they differ from your own. This then leads to the habit of wrongly assuming that the weirder some foreign thing is, the more culturally traditional it must surely be. So in this case, obviously Americans don't actually eat things like Oreo cereal or spreadable marshmallow fluff all that much, but they're
We very much do eat that stuff, just not all of us. I mean, yes, they're not average, they're large. Don't set unreasonable expectations for things. Supersized, gigantic. I'm not small. I swear it's larger than an inch. It exists. I wasn't told I needed an electron microscope to spot it. It's not there. And I'm totally not going to the bathroom to cry about it right now. How could you say that? It's just happened 3 times where someone said, "Oh, where is it? I can't find it." Oh God, it's on. Nothing happened. You did not hear anything. This is all a bit. It's totally not true. But yeah. No, I'm kidding. Huh. We do actually have small hot dogs. We call them cocktail wieners. I wonder if they just use cocktail wieners or they have actually their own little kind of thing. Because we have something called pigs in a blanket here. I actually don't know. I've heard some UK people say they know what it is, and then other people going like, I have no idea what that is. Let's see, do you know what they are? Pigs in a blanket. I mean, you could use it with a full hot dog, but yeah. Like, you know, just these cute little things. This is like a pretzel version, I think, where they put like some salt on it. But let's see. Yeah. Oh my indeed. But yes. What is your O for? Is it an oh my? Is it an oh no? Or is it an oh yes? But here.
They're nevertheless marketed as being super American because such products fit a certain European stereotype of Americans as a people who eat all of this decadent, high-sugar nonsense. That said, Americans are of course just as guilty of doing this as anyone. Many supermarkets over here have the so-called world food section, featuring imported products from other countries, often presented in some equally...
That is why I know what hobnobs and digestives are. Because I've eaten them in my international aisle.
Exoticized display. Ooh, puto. Exoticizing goes hand in hand with the other phenomenon we talked about the other week. Faux authenticity.
Puto with punta. If you call someone a punta, then you might get into a fight.
This is basically when you use a bunch of stereotypes of some foreign place to come up with a product or tradition that you then inaccurately present as being some normal part of their culture. Chinese fortune cookies, which are not actually a thing in China, but play into a certain exotic stereotype of the Chinese as mysterious fortune tellers, would be a classic example. Anyway, today I thought we would look.
The cookie that the fortune cookie is based off of is a Japanese cookie, actually, if I remember correctly. It's kind of funny. There was an American Chinese food restaurant in China. Back then, though, they were a lot more open, so it might have been shut down or the person might have been arrested. Because of China. They have the least amount of public freedom in the world. Oh no, my social credit! But yeah.
Look at a few examples of faux authentic American traditions as practiced by non-Americans around the world and see what they can teach us about some of the interesting ways that Americans continue to be exoticized. So I lived in Japan briefly, and while I was there, I was able to see perhaps one of the...
Why the hell are there French subtitles? I was wondering why there was nothing coming up, but you know, just... Oh, ginger nuts? That's not that weird sounding.
The world's most infamous faux authentic American traditions up close. Fried...
Yeah, but it's French, it's like, they're not translated. It's assuming he's speaking French. Is he from Quebec or something? Is he a Quebecois?
fried chicken on Christmas. So Christmas is a pretty weird holiday for the Japanese to be celebrating in the first place, given it is not remotely a Christian country. But they do, and in a mostly superficial way that focuses on things like decorations and foods above even things like family or presents. And a lot of this superficiality, in turn, is heavily filtered through assumptions of what Americans do. And apparently the Japanese have been convinced that eating fried chicken, especially KFC fried chicken, is the traditional American thing. When you're in Japan around Christmas time, you will see big ads for special fried chicken Christmas combo deals all over the place. And a lot of Japanese kids will look forward to having a big KFC feast on December 25th. This authentic tradition was supposedly the idea of just one man, Takashi Okawara, who ran the first Japanese KFC franchise and claims to have made up the Christmas thing as a marketing gimmick in the 1970s.
And after a few years, KFC for Christmas starts to get popular in Japan. And NHK, which is a national broadcaster, comes in to interview Mr. Okawara, and they want to know if KFC is an American Christmas tradition.
You are selling Kentucky Fried Chicken so well in Christmas. And is there a common custom in overseas? And I would, I know that there people are not eating chicken, they're eating turkey. But I said, yes, it was right.
No.
I still regret that.
I found a lot of Japanese people were quite shocked.
Especially because they all believe that we eat like fried chicken in America. Like for Christmas, it's like, no, it's a time that they do, like, you know, they eat like turkey or like, you know, similar traditions to probably what you have in the UK.
When I told them that no one in America actually eats fried chicken on Christmas, and that if anything, eating fast food on Christmas would be considered a fairly trashy thing in American culture. But then again, I'm sure that a lot of Americans would also be shocked to learn that Japanese people do not eat sushi with rice on the outside. Speaking of fast food, another wild, authentic American thing I have experienced.
Okay, but to be fair, the person who came up with the American-style sushi was a Japanese man who came to California. Well, actually, I think lives in Canada now. It's good. Okay, he made the California roll, but I can't remember if he made it in California or if he made it in Canada. I cannot remember. I just think the man now or did move to Canada. Oh well.
Experienced firsthand on my travels is the Dutch practice of eating what they call American-style sauce on their French fries. You can buy it at places like McDonald's or in big bottles at the store. It's not that bad. I would describe it as basically what you would get if you put mayonnaise and relish together in the blender. An even weirder Dutch food, however, is what they call Faux American, or American préparé in Belgium, which is a kind of pâté made of raw ground beef and often eaten on toast or crackers. There are a lot of theories about how this weird and possibly dangerous dish became associated with Americans, but when I was there, people told me it was because during the war, there had become this stereotype that American soldiers all ate their steaks super rare, and then the Dutch beef industry just kind of ran with that. That is almost certainly an apocryphal story, but hey, apocryphal stories are one of the key foundations.
And as we covered earlier, he is a Canadian, and they don't allow the eating of tartar.
Upon which authentic traditions are built. In the comment section of my original authentic video, a bunch of my non-American friends had some fun examples of their own of various head-scratching things they've seen marketed as being American style in their own countries. For example, some of my British viewers noted that British supermarkets sometimes sell supposed American-style hot dogs in jars of brine. Load up on that big stateside flavor, proclaims this ad. But if hot dogs in jars of brine are too weird for you, they do also sell them in cans of brine as well. Hot dogs.
Not going to lie, there are such a thing as canned hot dogs in America. There's a canned anything in America, to be perfectly honest. But the fact of the matter is, I'd say 90% or like 90% or like 80% of Americans are horrified of the idea of eating those canned foods. Like it's so easy to find food online that in America, which will creep the hell out of people. But a lot of it exists because it's existed for, like, you know, since the early 90s, not 90s, but the early, like, at the early turn of the 19th century, or, you know, from 100 years ago, they used to eat stuff like that. And so there's still a somewhat of a market for it. And then there are people who eat it because it's cheap, or people who eat it because, you know, it's like a challenge food, or you get to try a little bit of it, and it's like, I could tell you about it, but that would probably weird you out, person. But I will say that you can get hamburgers in a can. And weirdly, the thing that I've heard, which is the best in a can, is cheese in a can. As opposed to getting like a whole chicken in a can. I'm sorry, I said the past, so it's not evolving, it's devolving. What is the devolving fuck?
Dogs are, of course, one of the great exoticized symbols of American cuisine in much of the world, and as a result, slapping hot dogs on something is always a surefire way to market it as being American style. For example, in a lot of places, pizzas with hot dogs on them are presented as being American style pizzas, either sliced up hot dogs, as in this German pizza, or entire wieners, as in this one from South Korea. In Italy, meanwhile, a American pizza is apparently one with bits of hot dog and French fries. In Brazil, they sell allegedly California-style pizza with pineapple, figs, plums, and those bright red cherries they sell in cans. Though nothing can top this story from my friend Daniel. My friend was doing graduate work in Poland and went out to eat and saw American pizza on the menu. When she ordered it, it came out as a plain cheese pizza, and the guy brought a can of creamed corn and poured it directly onto the pizza right there at the table. Many Americans who had...
You have to understand, there's stuff that other people make up and say is American style. And then, like, I mean, how would you react? It's just like... If you know, well, I know this exists now, but I'm going to say it anyways. How would you feel if you went to a place and said, we have the UK style pizza, and then as soon as you got your pizza, like, oh look, the plain cheese pizza, pouring out a big can of baked beans right on top of it. How would you react with that? Well, I'm sorry to say this, person, but baked bean pizza does exist in the UK. Did you know about it? Here it is, in all of its horror. With sausage, and with the regular cheese. I know about it, so everyone must suffer through it. And you can buy it at your local store. You can try it and tell me about it later.
lived or traveled abroad were equally keen to regale me with horror stories about what other countries seem to think a traditional American-style breakfast entails. Among other things, they described being served breakfasts that included stuff like baked beans, garlic bread, potato salad, and of course, hot dogs. One guy even complained about being served green orange juice in China. Talking of Asia, many of my Asian friends told me about a dish that is apparently common in many Asian countries, known as American fried rice. This evidently ultimately consists of rice cooked with ketchup, corn, and raisins, accompanied by a side of various stereotypical American delicacies like hot dogs, slices of bologna, fried eggs, and chicken nuggets, plus more ketchup. But my favorite story of a faux-authentic American dish comes from my friend Camilo in Colombia.
Well, you know, it happens. And I'm sure that there are many more clips you'll be able to make of me and my weirdness. So how does having fried rice with raisins in it sound like? Ooh boy. No. Oh. So. Oh no, you said it was very worth it. Like, you must like those raisins in that fried rice. Indeed. You can't say we're talking about the other topic. No Texas backsies. Well, be sure to put the raisins on with your baked bean pizza.
In Colombia, we have American-style hot dogs, which are enormous hot dogs with a chorizo wiener topped with melted cheese, crumbled potato chips, various sauces, and quail eggs. I was able to verify this with a photo. Camilo continues, we named it that because of a common belief in Latin America that people in the USA eat big-size foods with a lot of toppings and all of that. You can't believe how disappointed I was when
No takesies backsies.
I tried an actual hot dog in the USA. All right, now let us do a lightning round of a few other much beloved, allegedly American foods from around the world. Amerikaners, which are German cookies with black and white icing. The similar but distinct American...
Those cookies exist in America. They are an American thing. That's dumb. They're a traditional thing served oftentimes at Jewish delis.
Cakes that the Poles make, which are these little doughy lumps with frosted undersides. An American sandwich, or a pan American, which is some sort of beef and french fry sandwich that they sell in France. American salad, which is a kind of mayonnaise and carrot salad sold in Spain. And American dressing, a creamy sauce that the Swedes eat that's made of pickles, mayonnaise, and hot sauce and sold in tubes. Now available in bacon flavor. But faux-authentic Americana is not...
Okay, the bacon flavor thing is very much an American thing. But not like you can't buy that sauce here.
Just limited to food, of course. A number of my foreign friends were eager to inform me that these things, which I guess we would call red solo cups, are a subject of considerable fascination in other parts of the world, where they are often sold as glamorous American party cups. I love this copy from this British online store. Everything about these disposable red American party cups says party. Whether you're planning a barbecue or a wild night of beer pong and American pop music, these red party cups are the perfect disposable option. Instantly recognizable from a number of American films, such as the American Pie series and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, these disposable cups...
Oh god, no, it's just a red disposable cup. You can get them all over the damn place here. I mean, it's just like our yellow school buses, which, you know, for some reason people think, like, those yellow school buses don't really exist, right? It's like, no, they really do. Oh no, you can totally get one, just don't buy one online. They're dirt cheap here. And I can guarantee you, having one shipped to where you live, especially when they'll put it like here, it's like, oh my god, that's a few pounds. Where, you know, if you spent that much money on them here, you'd basically be able to buy enough to probably, you know, support a party.
Cups are durable enough for even the wildest of parties. In Brazil, however, they call a cup that looks like this an American cup. Brazilians also call placemats American sets for some reason. They have a similar situation in Italy, where a placemat is known as an American tablecloth. Are placemats really that American of a thing? My friend Marcelo, meanwhile...
Well, I mean, during the Second World War, they were very, very common. And a lot of people use them. Nowadays, people are just like, it takes too much effort. I don't fucking care. Speaking of the Second World War, and this is sort of an interesting trap. The Germans set a trap for British officers. Well, yeah, I mean, you can have a friend in America send you one, or you could just, you know, come on and visit. I mean, obviously it would take time. And also, you could possibly try buying it from an American supply store. I don't know. I don't know. When I feel more comfortable, I might... I don't know. They should never give me your address. Just don't trust people online. I don't want to... I was about to say, like, oh, you know, if I get comfortable in the Discord, maybe you could do that. But no, you should probably not. You never know. For all you know, I'm just some weirdo, and then it's just like, oh, he seemed perfectly normal until one day I said something wrong, and then he harassed me, and then he hid in my cupboard, and then my cupboard broke because he's too fat, and my cupboard's not that big. At which point, it wasn't that hard. I just rolled him down the stairs and he fell. And then he got kicked out of my country. But yeah. I completely forgot why I stopped and what I was going to say. Oh yeah, the thing I said, the trap for British officers that the Germans set. They set a trap, which is they would put a picture slanted on a wall, and there would be a little wire attached to that image, and that wire is linked to a bomb. Now, what the Germans figured is that if an American went by, they would see the picture and ignore it and just keep going. And if an average British soldier saw it, they would ignore it and they'd go by. But you know, the gentlemanly, aristocratic British officer would see it, and his, you know, British aristocraticness would make him move up and properly align the picture, which would cause it to explode. And thus, targeting and taking out the most, you know, desired target for it. I don't know how often it worked. Honestly, one of the reasons why there's a myths about how amazing the Germans were during the Second World War is due to how shit the Allies were at recording losses and how the Germans refused to record losses. I'm not going to go too much into depth, but basically, whenever the Allies would basically, and the British did this especially, because they hated making reports, or keeping track of stuff. They would, at the end of a day, look at all the vehicles that they had and go, okay, this vehicle is damaged, and we're going, and it's not in really inoperable order, or it needs to be worked on. We're going to send it to the motorcade to get fixed. And so they're going to say we have damaged vehicles or vehicle out of action. And then, you know, that vehicle would be sent there to a place. And then if the people at the vehicle bay would then go, oh, we don't really think we can work on this right now, so put it there. So they put it as out of action. And then later on they might decide, well, actually, I don't think we can work on that at all. So once again, it's put as destroyed. And people would, so in that case, the same vehicle, even though nothing special happened to it, would be recorded as 3 losses, basically. And then, furthermore, let's say a vehicle or a group of people were out on a scouting mission, or they were, not back in time for roll call. The people in the charge of marking how many vehicles they had would go, oh, it's out of action. So they would be like, hey, we've lost this many vehicles. This many should be here. They're not here, so they're out of action. Which means that people would count that as losses. So as you can tell, having a same vehicle lost multiple times, or just not being there when the person happened to take roll call, and them not going, oh, that's out on a mission. Just going like, whatever, we lost that vehicle. And then on the German side, where it's just like, okay, we've lost three of their vehicles were destroyed today. How many vehicles did we lose according to our records? We didn't lose a single vehicle. We're at still full force. And then, you would have cases of armored division, or quote-unquote armored divisions, where they were basically just running around because they lost all their vehicles, but on paper, they hadn't lost a single vehicle. Because you see, they liked to lie about the number of vehicles they had because of propaganda purposes. That and most of the stuff after the war, was written by basically Nazi people trying to make themselves look better so that they'd get a position as a military advisor to the UN. But either way, I'm going to stop talking about that stuff now.
Tells me this story. I visited Chile one time, and they have stores out there called American stores. These stores are actually just thrift stores, but they call them that because they mostly have American types of clothing, such as American football jerseys, American brands, American college shirts, etc. It was pretty funny, to be honest. This reminds me of another wild story I can tell you from my time in Japan. There was this neighborhood in Tokyo called Harajuku that was known for having a lot of cool hipster fashion stores, and they would have these American fashion stores where they would sell like Tommy Hilfiger and Supreme and all of that. But in order to have the full American experience, they would employ these big black guys wearing, do-rags and chains and basketball jerseys to stand out front of the stores and beckon the Japanese people to come in. But these guys were not actually African American, but rather literal African immigrants from places like Senegal or Ghana, who I assume were much cheaper to hire. And they would be trying to lure you into these stores with their cool American hip-hop slang, but spoken through these thick African accents from people who, in many cases, clearly barely understood English. Now, in Russia, there is nothing the kids love more than heading down to the old theme park and riding the American slide, which is what they call roller coasters over there, which is kind of ironic since in a lot of other European...
Don't worry, if you had an American store, you just get diabetes or something like that. Also, the American brands that are actually nice are expensive and kind of overpriced.
European countries, they call roller coasters Russian mountains, and the historians seem to agree that they were actually invented in Russia as well. But still...
It is funny that in Russia, even today, with all the American hate, they call their roller coasters American slides. Because, yeah, they were made in Russia. It makes no sense. Wouldn't you agree with that? Alternatively, you can try to get a friend if you have a friend who ever visits America, you can just write a list of things that you'd like them to get. I mean, that's always something you can do. I don't know. Also, you're sort of lucky in that you are on the side of the coast which is closer to New York. So New York has a bunch of the good shopping. So, you know, you could potentially come over. It's a lot cheaper to come over here than it is to visit, like, California, let's say. I think if I went back when I lived in Maryland, it would have been cheaper to go to Europe than it would have been to go to California unless I was driving. And I don't want to drive all the way to California from where I lived back then. That would have just been insane. But yeah. Either way. Also, you're young. You've got plenty of time to be able to try and travel to America or travel to other places. As long as you save up properly and don't waste all your money on gotcha. Start saving now.
Well, I'm sure Americans would much rather be associated with roller coasters than brass knuckles, or as the French call them, American fists. Or how about duct tape, which is called American tape in
The Canadian said a boot. We can end the video.
Spain. All right, now let us close with a really good summary of what is perhaps one of the best examples of a faux-authentic American phenomenon that wound up going mainstream in America itself. My friend Christopher writes, I think one example of something that is a product of a foreign country's idea of American culture that America kind of reappropriated for itself is the spaghetti western film genre. As the name suggests, the genre originated in Italy as Italian filmmakers made movies based on a largely mythical understanding of the American West. American filmmakers then began to import the style in their own films about the American West, and it proved very popular among American filmgoers, even if its representation of the Wild West is only very loosely based on the truth. A very recent film that utilizes a lot of these spaghetti western tropes is the Quentin Tarantino film Django Unchained. The term spaghetti western is itself also quite interesting because, as we discussed in the previous video, spaghetti has become one of the most Americanized Italian foods in the US. So there is something wonderfully poetic and circular about using the name of an Americanized Italian food to describe Italianized American history. So I hope you enjoyed these two deep dives into the exciting world of faux-authentic culture. If you have any ideas of how I could stretch out this premise any further, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to check out the first video if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.
I think after spending about almost close to, you know, almost 3.5 hours talking about this, I think people might get...
Hello, friends. My name is JJ. So, the United States welcomes...
Oh, no. Sorry. Well, you know, if we watch this, I'll have basically spent 3.5 hours talking/listening to foods. So, oh God, you've stayed through the entire time. Why? But yeah, just, I don't know. It's sort of funny. Wait. Foreign-born population. What the heck is this? Foreign-born population.
More immigrants than any other country on Earth, which has resulted in basically all of the world's cultures having some sort of presence within its borders. On the one hand, this may...
I'll watch this one thing and then I'll set you free and I'll leave too, because I should probably go to sleep so I can keep my schedule. I mean, you should also be asleep, but whatever.
makes America an amazingly educational place where curious folks can sample little snippets of all sorts of global traditions and learn about the practices of the wider world through immigrant ambassadors. But on the other hand, the practice of bringing foreign cultures to America can also result in them getting a little bit distorted over time. Cut off from their birth country, immigrants, and especially their children and grandchildren, may gradually start to lose touch with the home country and start to practice their old world customs in a way that bears increasingly little resemblance to what their parents.
Learning about the history of the Chinese who came to America is actually sort of fascinating. Because as you know, it's well known about the hatred of, or the mistreatment of the black community. While the Chinese did face their own sort of like hardships, they were sort of treated slightly better than black people, but they also weren't. However, they were the only community that was allowed to deal with both white and black people. However, they had to separate their shops.
Parents or grandparents did. As they become more Americanized, they might likewise update or modernize their traditions in a way that seems more consistent with the tastes and preferences of the American majority, particularly if they are involved in the business of selling their culture in some way. And of course, there is also the infamous practice of what we now call cultural appropriation, where Americans from outside of immigrant communities take it upon themselves to take over or improve some immigrant cultural thing that they may brought.
Oh, gee. Doesn't that sound like something that's not happening now? With a bunch of games and a bunch of people trying to be the champions of culture now. Yes, indeed. It most certainly does not happen now. Not at all. What do you mean, Assassin's Creed? Absolutely not.
Broadly like, but still feel needs a few tweaks. All of this adds up to what I am going to call the phenomenon of faux-authenticity, which is when a cultural item or practice in modern America has a pretense of representing some foreign or old world tradition, but is instead a thoroughly unique American thing. To be clear, I do not think that this is a bad phenomenon. In fact, faux-authenticity can be an inspiring manifestation of the great American melting pot, where endless immigrant cultures swirl together and create new, distinctly American cultural traditions. But there can be no denying that faux-authentic stuff can be quite confusing as well, or even slightly deceptive if not understood in its proper context. So let's give that a try. If you've ever been to a Chinatown in the US before, you've probably seen one of these things, a Chinatown gate. The style is a great example of a certain sort of faux-authentic architecture, a design that is supposed to look Chinese, but isn't based on any actual Chinese tradition. Instead, it is a style that mostly white architects dreamed up as they rebuilt San Francisco's Chinatown after the earthquake of 1906. That obviously seems a little bit condescending, but in the century since, the style has been happily embraced by Chinese Americans.
I heard too, it's also because of, well, they also happened when there was someone burned down a Chinese district, and then the residents fought back to have it rebuilt, and then they rebuilt the buildings in that style, I think, I saw a video about this a very, very long time ago. But basically, a bunch of racist white people, as they do, at the time, burned down the Chinatown, or, well, it was basically where a bunch of Chinese people were living, but they burned it down, and then the Chinese people actually fought back and won, and then they had to rebuild the town, and then they sort of did it like that to stand out and also sort of go like, fuck you people! We are here. And then it sort of acted as a thing to attract attention. But, you know.
All over this continent, including here in Vancouver, as something that's authentically theirs, even if it may not be all that authentically Chinese. Vox did a great video about this recently that you should totally check out.
It didn't look like China, but it didn't have to. The point was to make Chinatown a built-in feature of the city and a hub of not just trade, but tourism.
But of course, architecture based on relatively ill-informed cultural cliches is nothing new. You could even say that the entire city of Washington, D.C. is a monument to faux-authentic sensibilities, given
Oh yeah, fake like
the number of prominent buildings done up in a style designed to evoke ancient Rome and Greece as part of the larger American project to set up a government in the style of ancient Rome and Greece. And critics would say that neither the buildings nor the political system was all that faithful to the source
I figured I would stop talking about it because, you know, it's like literally he's about to go into it and probably say more details, so I should shut up.
material. So-called ethnic holidays are a similar story. Cinco de Mayo, or May 5th, celebrates Mexico's 1862 defeat of the French army of Napoleon III in the Battle of Puebla. It was an event that had a lot of geopolitical significance at the time, but is now mostly forgotten, especially in Mexico itself, where the anniversary isn't even an official holiday. The fact that May 5th has nevertheless somehow wound up as America's preeminent celebration of Mexican pride makes it a good example of this sort of phenomenon we're talking about. You have a day dedicated to celebrating Mexican culture, despite being of limited importance to actual Mexico, meaning that basically all of the associated festivities and traditions are purely American in origin, which is fine, because at this point, American Chicano culture certainly has plenty of traditions that Mexicans in Mexico can't necessarily relate to, but deserve celebration just the same. Where things get problematic is when festivities drift so far from even Mexican-American culture that you're left with little more than Cinco de Drinko. St. Patrick's Day is quite similar. It had a long history as an important religious holiday in Ireland, but it was the Americans who came up with the idea that it should be this big extravaganza of Irish cultural pride. In fact, the wild thing is that unlike Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day actually became a bigger deal as America's ties to Ireland grew weaker, with parades and parties continuing to grow throughout the late 20th century, even as America's population of first-generation Irish immigrants continued to shrink. Perhaps for this reason, the version of Irish culture that is celebrated on St. Patrick's Day has become notoriously faux-authentic, with a focus on things like green beer and green rivers and shamrock shakes and corned beef dinners and pinching people who aren't wearing green and all sorts of other things that they don't actually do in Ireland. But the Irish don't seem all that offended. In fact, Irish authorities eventually grew envious of the American take on St. Patrick's Day, and beginning in the 1970s, tried to re-import the American version of their holiday, often by explicitly consulting American St. Patrick's Day experts. Today, St. Patrick's Day has become
I find that kind of funny. It's just like, hey, that holiday took from us and did stuff with it. Can you help us bring it back?
a big deal in Ireland as well, but it did take a while for it to fully catch on. I like this quote here in this book about the history of St. Patrick's Day.
By marching down Fifth Avenue and elsewhere, Americans and Canadians with an Irish lineage renewed their ties with an Ireland they conceived as home. For the Irish themselves, St. Patrick's Day, so long as it sought to copy North American celebrations, would be a comparatively empty experience. How do you celebrate home when you're already there?
The most classic example of faux authenticity, however, has got to be food. One of the big jokes about American culture, in fact, is that if a food has some foreign land in its name, it's pretty likely that people actually from that foreign land either won't recognize it or will be slightly offended by it. It's really quite remarkable how many common foods Americans explicitly identify with some sort of foreign adjective were things that were actually invented in America to embrace some imagined foreign standard of quality, as opposed to a legit foreign tradition brought to America. Some noteworthy examples would include Swiss cheese, which as Americans know it, is a knockoff version of what the actual Swiss call emmental cheese, Italian ice, which is a distinct American evolution of the Italian dessert known as granitas, English muffins, which are an American take on the British crumpet, French roast coffee, which is a name that apparently arose from an old American stereotype that all Europeans drank their coffee super dark, and Russian salad dressing, which as far as I can tell simply gets its name because it was something Americans in the early 20th century figured Russians might eat. And then there's
also, I think it was because there were several Russians that made it too, I think. Sometimes it's called that. Sometimes Americans added like cultures to a thing because immigrants from that area made it, or just decided, hey, I'll throw this shit together. And then people are like, what do we call it? The guy who put it is Turkish. Let's just call it Turkish sauce. Even if it has no ties to it, they just name it after the guy. Or sometimes it would be a case like, that guy's called Frenchie. I'll call it French. Just like I mentioned in another video with German chocolate cake. That's because it was named after a guy who owned a company called German's Chocolate. And it was originally called German's Chocolate Cake. Which, you know, after a while, German's Chocolate Company went out of business. And people are like, what's German's? Well, let's just call it German Chocolate Cake. And then now it's been so long, people are like, do they have this cake in Germany? And it's like, of course not. It has absolutely no ties to Germany. But, you know.
There's the super confusing story of German chocolate cake, which was named after an American brand of chocolate, which was named after an American guy named Sam German, who was not...
I was actually not expecting him to literally go into what I just said.
Not actually German, but it still got bound up in a certain sentimental idea of Germany as the land of chocolate, alongside Black Forest cake, which also has a super confused origin story, but does seem to be at least a little bit more authentically German. Less on-the-nose examples would be the many foods that American culture classifies as belonging to a foreign cuisine, even though they were invented in the United States. Chop suey would be the ultimate faux-authentic dish, something that feels very exotic and even has an exotic-sounding name, but as most Chinese people know, was actually invented in America for Americans. There is more of these sorts of dishes than you might...
You see, I don't think it's going to get covered, so I'll cover it now. In the early days of when Chinese immigrants came to America, they could not really get many jobs. And one of the jobs that they could do was being a chef or cook, and they have been restaurants. And they primarily cater to, you know, the Chinese people. And sometimes an American would, a white person would come in and basically say, give me food. And of course, they're, oh God, I'm not going to eat that animal food you have. So basically, they're like, what the hell do we have in here? Well, the Americans won't eat that. They won't eat that. We won't eat that. Let's just chop a bunch of shit and put it together. And so basically, they just did that. And that is how chop suey was born. A bunch of Chinese people being angry that Americans didn't eat a lot of their stuff and were so picky and just chopping it up and just putting it together. Yes, indeed. Well, nowadays it's a lot harder to find any place that does it because it's looked at that, even though it's such a influential dish, it's sort of looked at with disdain nowadays.
I'd imagine chimichangas were invented in Arizona. Spaghetti and meatballs probably come from New York. And California rolls are from, well, California. I did a couple other videos where I talked about this whole phenomena of made-up foreign foods. Now, a particularly fun example is the fortune cookie, which is not only a faux-authentic Chinese food, but a full-on faux-authentic Chinese tradition. As is so often the case, no one is able to speak with 100% certainty as to when fortune cookies first became a thing, but what everyone does seem to agree on is that they are a purely American invention that isn't actually found in Asia. Fortune cookies, like the Chinese gates, can be seen as an example of immigrants playing into a certain stereotype of themselves. In this case, the idea of the mysterious fortune-telling Oriental. As a result, some Asian Americans may even regard them as an offensive anachronism from a more condescending age. I remember the Ben & Jerry's people had to apologize after putting fortune cookie pieces in their Jeremy Lin-themed ice cream. You see a similar growing backlash to some of the other Orientalist imagery that was often used to market Chinese stuff to white Americans back in the day, such as this type of lettering, which is now often considered quite cringe, if not outright racist. Which brings us to the dark side of the faux-authentic phenomena. At what point do you cross the line from merely dreaming up new ideas inspired by a foreign culture and instead start pushing culturally ignorant nonsense that is only popular because it panders to shallow stereotypes? So I am sure I am just beginning to scratch the surface of this whole rich topic. Since I know I have such a wonderfully international audience, I'd be curious to know if any of you guys have any other good examples of American cultural practices that have a pretense of foreignness, but are really pretty far removed from the country they supposedly come from, or maybe even in the opposite direction as well. I've been around the world enough to know that there is plenty of stuff that foreign countries market as authentically American that has very little resemblance to anything found in actual American culture. But let me know in the comments, and I will see you next week.
Okay. I have spent over 3.5 hours talking about food. And we didn't even cover all the stuff. But that's also because, you know, like, I don't think we should cover, like, the barbecue stuff. Like, it would be too much, I think. Well, also the barbecue stuff. Some of it's fascinating. But a lot of it is just low and slow. Add barbecue sauce. Low and slow. Add barbecue sauce. Low and slow. Don't you dare add barbecue sauce, or I'll fucking murder you. And, like, you know, just like. Or dry rub barbecue sauce. Yeah, or just like, you know. If you use any wood other than this one, we'll come to your house and murder you. But, you know. Especially since a lot of the places are like, our recipe is secret. And so, you know, you can't really cover it. And then some places focus on a specific animal. Like, some only do pig. Some only do, like, a specific part of the pig. And in other places we do any and all different types of meat. Some places don't do sausage. Some places do sausage. I said do. I am tired. Leave me be. Either way, I need to sleep. Alright, well, thank you for the support, person. I really appreciate it. You also need to sleep. Alright. Bye. Have a great whatever. Bye-bye.